with the jet engines, did you notice there was nothing official? It was all sources say this, sources say that. Nobody was willing to come on the record.
Everything is always in the details. And I can tell you one thing, no matter what happens, nobody is going to give you 100% technology transfer.
CAA had nothing to do with Indian Muslims and yet burned the country down for a year. We are looking at a civil war if the government does not handle this properly.
What these guys, the Congress guys always do. वाजपेयी जी ने बोला था तो वाजपेयी कोई खुदा थे कि उन्होंने बोल दिया था तो जो कुछ उन्होंने बोला हमको फॉलो करना है.
BJP is such a nepotistic party, they will never send their biggest vote getter to jail. Mark my words.
But I think the BJP, whatever damage it would cause to Rahul Gandhi, it has done. Now Rahul Gandhi's perception amongst the common man has changed.
तूने सर्वे किया?
देख भाई, तू 2024 की बात ही भूल जा. You should start thinking of 2034 because तब तक तेरी पार्टी आने वाली नहीं है.
Congress will mock BJP leaders, but they will never mock how Mr. Kharge speaks English.
There are two dry cleaners in this country. Okay? One dry cleaner, if you go into, your clothes come with the smell of secularism. And the other dry cleaner,
you don't come out with clothes.
You come out with clothes, but your clothes smell of honesty. Non-corruption.
This conversation is going to go down in history.
Well, let me give
as the most logical debate on why Modi should come back in 2024.
Let me give you an answer to that.
Remember this podcast.
Namaste, Jai Hind. Another edition of ANI Podcast with Smita Prakash. Hope you're geared up for some amazing conversation today. My guests today are those who appeared in episode 28, the New Year's Eve episode. Many of you have written in asking me to invite them again. Why? Because of the amazing conversation, the sparkling wit, the humor, but sharp take on affairs both national and international. So here they are today. Sushant Sareen, Anand Ranganathan, Abhijit Iyer Mitra and Tehseen Poonawala. Those familiar with the podcast already know my guests. For those who don't, be ready to be blown out of your minds. Sushant Sareen of the Observer Research Foundation is a security expert. He knows Pakistan like the back of his hand. But not just that, he has a deep insight into security matters. So we will do a deep dive into the Khalistan problem with Sushant. Dr. Anand Ranganathan is a scientist and an author. He has a new book out on Hindus. Anand is on TV on weekdays with his sharp take on politics and more. So today, Anand spars with Tehseen Poonawala, who's a Congress loyalist, speaks favourably for the Gandhi family and has friends across the political divide. Tehseen's views are respected by all our guests today, including the quirky Abhijit. Love him, hate him, you just can't ignore Abhijit. Defense expert and social media maven who has an opinion on everything, especially food and fashion. Abhijit will add volatility to the conversation today. So today we also have some amazing food which is going to be served during the podcast. You know, food for thought. So those of you who are listening in and not watching this, you might be disturbed a little bit by the munching noises that you hear. So here we have amazing food set out for our guest today. There's samosa to sushi, salad to avocado toast, chips with hummus, flavoured popcorns, pita and pakoras. Since we are speaking about Khalistan, we also have timbits. So for our listeners on audio platforms, you'll get to hear some chewing and chipping which goes on during the free-flowing conversations. Thanks guys for coming in. So looking forward to this really amazing conversation. But before we begin...
This is the monsoon session of...
Monsoon session.
And you are the speaker.
चंडाल चौकड़ी किथे चौकड़ी 5 है हम लोग
5 है ना
5 है तो फिर
speaker हो ना जी बाकी तो चंडाल.
So this is the new parliament we've entered?
Yes.
Because the old one is... the new one has more food.
ये Sengol का.
But you know, I'm very disturbed by the level of toxic masculinity in this room.
Why? Because Tehseen has come with this
showing
cleavage.
Showing his.
Yeah, but you know, also these two, I mean, look at this Punju,
I'm like a normal Punju
bouncer,
uncle,
like bouncer uncle at at a Gurgaon.
But he's very
beating up the guests.
Beating up the
no,
guests.
he's cheated. He was supposed to come as Ilan Omar.
Yeah, why aren't you dressed as Ilan?
My tailor didn't get it right, yeah. So that dress ended up looking horrible.
Even Ilan's tailor doesn't get it right. Make no mistake.
So I commissioned...
But how can the tailor go so wrong on suicide belt?
That's true.
See, I showed him what a suicide belt looks like to make that, plus that red flowing dress.
उसने जानबूझ के नहीं बनाया होगा.
अरे नहीं यार,
One second, that's a
he
curtain.
screwed it up.
Dawal
It
का
was a
call आ
curtain
गया.
down there.
कितनी बनाई है तुमने?
So I went to Lajpat Nagar and chose curtain fabric because that's what Ilhan
told
Omar
you,
wears.
it was a curtain.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ilan
Hey,
Jagdish.
that's exactly
You went
what
to
I went. I
Jagdish.
went to
Jagdish.
Jagdish.
Oh, you went to Jagdish.
ये मरवाएगा.
सुनो हमारी अमेरिकन वीजा रिजेक्ट होने वाली है.
अरे कुछ नहीं, but he stitched it so badly.
NI
यार.
की नहीं, हमको वीजा नहीं
So
मिलना.
so that's exactly how Ilhan Omar dresses. It's
Yeah.
stitched badly.
No, she
But why have
fits
you?
it very
I'm
well.
sorry, it's hard to even look at it. Shaved your chest. I mean,
I always have my sheaf. Just I'm a metrosexual man.
See, at least he's in touch with his feminine side. What's your excuse and your excuse?
They aren't.
I
These
don't
two are
have one,
toxic.
yeah.
You don't
These
have a
two-
feminine side,
These
for
two,
heaven's
these
sake.
two,
And
these
see,
two.
you have
are
a certain
dripping with
masculine side which you're not in touch with. So I'll tell you what. For the
That's
rest
the-
of
this
this
is outrageous.
podcast,
I object to this.
Okay.
for the rest of this podcast,
Right.
he will be referred to as Angela. She will be referred to as Suzanne,
Shanti. Suzanne. Okay.
and you will be referred to as Sumit.
बिल्कुल नहीं.
No,
nonsense.
By the way, Sumit is my executive assistant.
I don't like
So
Sumit.
Sumit.
By the way, Sumit is my executive
Gee,
assistant.
that sounds
So
like
she's-
Smita gone wrong.
She's
Yeah, I
Tehseen.
agree.
Tehseena.
Sumit
No,
Tehmeena.
Hasina.
Te Hasina.
Hasina.
Te Hasina.
Tehseen.
हाँ ते हसीना,
ते हसीना.
Sumit,
अच्छा चल रहे हैं.
Angela,
अच्छा, यार, तू
and
चुप रह.
Suzanne.
And you are,
तूने क्या
and you are
बोला?
Ilan.
Anand start.
Anand.
Yeah.
So
I
can
just want
Hasina and Ilan?
No, you no. Please don't start.
How cool
Oh
is
my
Hasina
God.
and Ilan?
No hitting on each other right now.
Ilan.
Can we
So
just start in a
Behave
very
yourself.
decent
You are
mode?
Dancing all of us.
So homophobic.
Girls, behave yourself.
Hasina and Ilan, what is your problem?
My problem is ये कुछ बहुत देर से he wants to say
What do you want to
something.
apologize
हाँ.
for? Please tell me.
Apologize नहीं यार.
Sorry, clarify.
I want to clarify, Amrita, कि मैं हिंदी में बोलूं or should I speak in English?
Whatever you're comfortable.
Speak in
with.
Tamil
क्योंकि मैं
also.
अभी बड़ी प्रॉब्लम में फंस गया हूँ.
Speak in Tamil also, we have subtitles.
But
now.
Punjabi
Whichever
and
language ensures that your problem
Is solved.
Is solved.
Yeah. No, I'll tell you.
We'll put the
little better.
creepy
Subtitles.
crawly
I did do it in
subtitles.
Hindi because it was the Hindi bit which
हाँ,
was.
Hindi,
No. So I went on this beer and biceps thing.
Beer biceps. हाँ.
Beer biceps.
Ranveer Alabadi.
Ranveer Alabadi. And so he was, it's a 2-hour long podcast and, freewheeling conversation. And he says, look, in my circle, when I talk to my Muslim and Christian, friends, they feel Modi and Yogi are very anti-Muslim, anti-Christian and all that stuff. So I said, look, all that is rubbish. Modi as a prime minister has done more for the Muslims than for Hindus. And I gave him facts. And this is nothing new. I've been saying this for 2 years.
On TV channels.
Yes. In fact, the first time I said it, this guy had tweeted saying that should people really know whether Modi has actually done more for Muslims, what would... So I said the same thing and I quoted a BJP leader politician whom I had talked to because I used to get really angry when, India is demeaned. Whenever you say कि India में Hindu nationalists Muslims को मार रहे हैं, Christians को मार रहे हैं, all this, I feel bad, yeah. Because India is being demeaned. India is being portrayed as a place where minorities are under threat and lynched and all that stuff. So I very irately, I talked to this guy. I said, why don't you bloody, correct this fake propaganda that Modi is against Muslim. Modi has done more for Muslims than for Hindus. So he said, look, this Hindus shouldn't know. He said it very playfully in a very, that fashion quip that, that Modi has actually done more for Muslims than this thing because our core constituency is that. And he said, aak lagi rehni chahiye.
Aankh.
So what he meant was,
Eyes.
I should be shut.
they should keep sleeping on this.
हाँ. आँख लगना
Eyes
is
Wide Shut was a
Aankh
Tom
Lagna
Cruise
is-
movie.
No, आँख लगना is a
It wasn't
मुहावरा.
आँख लगी रहनी चाहिए. And this is what I said. And then next thing I know is people are writing articles on आग लगी रहनी चाहिए. So please, it is
Let the
आग.
fire keep burning.
Let the
Yeah.
fire. So
Okay.
Up to, if you keep
So a
pronouncing
Tamilian-
it wrong,
Yeah.
keep saying arc.
See,
So what is how
he's
is
a
Tamilian
problem
pronounced
with a Madrasi speaking Hindi.
Look, Chennai speaking.
Aankh
Chennai
or
speaking.
aag.
So
It's not
another
आग.
Tamilian is correcting a Tamilian just
So
for the
neither
record.
of you are Tamils.
Yeah.
You're both Punjabis.
Yeah.
How
So-
am I Punjabi?
What anybody
You
who
are the-
lives in Delhi is a Punjabi.
That's true. I agree with that. I agree with
End of
that.
the story. Either you are a Punjabi or you are a wannabe Punjabi.
No,
Because
I'm neither.
you aspire to be one.
No, I don't.
Look
He
at the
aspires to be
bling in
Ilan.
your life. The bling in your life is so Punjabi.
No, how is it Punjabi?
What else is it, yeah?
What's
So
blingy
his
about
bling
it?
is fake Louis Vuitton
Yeah.
and Mount Blanc.
Bound to be.
He is such a big Punjabi. He even bought a BMW. He even bought a BMW because he's such a big Punjabi.
That's
only
true.
Punjus buy BMWs. Who else buys a BMW?
No, who says that?
But I also
Punjus
drive a
only buy
BMW.
Audis. Audi.
Audi and Mercedes.
Sadda Audi.
So anyway, just to
Sadda
finish
Audi
that,
or Sadda Mari Sadi Bhains.
just to finish
Aye,
that, guys, I clarify now.
Okay.
That it is आग लग आंख लगी not आग लगी रहनी चाहिए. Put issue should be kept on the
let me
But
ask
it was a very nice podcast.
Yeah.
He
Is it-
Anand
I think
spoke
so,
very nicely. Abhijit has gone on that podcast too,
Yeah.
and spoke about various issues and simplified. अरे पहले तो congratulations, किताब निकली आपकी.
Thank you. It's
So
coming out next
that's
month.
Many
also
congratulations.
What was the release date? Today?
No, next month. It's coming on.
हाँ.
We'll have a little launch for you in Pune and Mumbai.
Wonderful.
That I'll do.
Thank you.
But that's also आँख वाली topic.
So
फिर से हिंदू.
Should I speak in English or Hindi? I won't speak. In Tamil or English, I can.
We'll speak Tamil, we'll put
Speak
subtitles.
Speak Tamil.
We'll put subtitles down.
Or you can speak in Punjabi.
Just don't ask 30 seconds more, 30
Punjabi
seconds more,
भी
30
आती है,
seconds more.
ऐसी गल नहीं
Let's
है.
get to the Punjabi in the room, which is that ro khanna wali baat. You both love him. Sushant
He
and
loves him. He was almost about
You
to
have
destroy his
completely ripped him apart. He's looking for you actually. He's hunting
Every
for you.
time the guy would come up with some clarification, he would go and dig up the archives and come up with counter
Yeah,
clarification.
did you see his latest tweet on the Khalistan thing?
Listen, but Smita, that is exactly the problem. This kind of equivocation which many of these guys do, that no, this is wrong, but this is also allowed. Would they allow this kind of stuff in their own countries against their people? They would never allow this kind of nonsense. Killing diplomats,
Can you believe it? And America needs to crack down on this nonsense.
threatening diplomats, basically painting a target on their back.
Yeah.
And
Making the details public.
Again, this I was telling somebody, I said, this is a modus operandi of the Pakistanis. They used to do it with the Americans in Pakistan when they would, give the names and the pictures of the CIA and other American officials and paint a target on their back.
True.
This is exactly what the Khalistanis have done. And for the Americans and for the Brits and for the Canadians, and the Canadians are particularly, bad on this.
Thank you so
count.
much.
I don't know. They keep saying it's not acceptable, but clearly it is.
But why does
is it
Khalistan,
dangerous? This is what I want.
Very dangerous.
Why is
Really?
Khalistan always portrayed as Indian Punjab when it's the Pakistanis asking it? Why can't they have some part of Pakistan?
Because the
and-
Pakistanis are funding most of these guys.
Right.
And the thing is that the base was always made into Pakistan.
True.
To carry out their operations and carry out their activities. A lot of recruitment has taken place from inside Pakistan. Whenever the Jathas go out there for religious pilgrimages, there is invariably, there are the Pakistanis will incite them. They will call Khalistanis. There will be speeches organized by Khalistanis. There will be all kinds of other shenanigans which these guys do. And so the moment these guys start saying that actually Lahore is going to be our capital,
Right.
they lose patronage, won't they? So
So you
clearly.
remember during the Kashmir insurgency, Sikhs were never attacked in Kashmir except that one massacre. That was
Correct. Bill Clinton
Chitty
was-
Singhpura,
Chitty
yeah.
Singhpura.
And that was a tactical mistake.
That was
Their strategy
false flag
was
or something,
to keep,
God knows what.
was to keep two insurgencies running at the same time,
The Sikh insurgency and the
Kashmir insurgency running at the same time. Now remember, in those days the Sikh community wasn't very rich.
Right.
They go off to Sadda, Canada and America and things like that and make the lots of the money. And now they are telling like the Pakistan ki you do the fighting, we'll do the paying.
Right. And Pakistan needs the money anyhow.
Pakistan desperately needs the money.
It's a hitman available on hire all the time.
Exactly.
Except it's a third grade hitman.
Well, I mean,
Why isn't the NSA or the government acting more tough? I mean, they haven't summoned the Canadian ambassador.
They have
Why
summoned
why
the
hasn't
ambassador.
Rahul Gandhi said
the
anything
American,
about this?
जिस दिन वो प्रधानमंत्री बनेगा उससे भी सवाल पूछेंगे.
yeah,
Why
yeah,
not
yeah,
Rahul
you know,
Gandhi said
stop.
मतलब ये
नहीं, देखो,
अरे
नहीं,
Prime
ये-
Minister
नहीं,
गलत बात
this
है.
is
ये
nonsense.
गलत है नहीं.
Manish Tiwari talked about it, right?
तो कांग्रेस का
Oh,
ही ना
his
वो.
father was killed.
And his father was
anyway.
killed,
Yeah,
professor.
his
So why
father
can't
was
Rahul
killed.
Gandhi talk
He
about
should
it?
and he has.
When has he?
He's spoken quite a bit.
He
He
has
said
it.
that he has.
Not
said
once.
No, Manish Tiwari lost his father to
And
terrorism.
Rahul lost
so,
his grandmother to
Sikh.
to Sikh.
Yes, yeah.
which
so
is
all
why
the more
him not
reason
opening
he
his
should,
mouth
he should
is
speak
even
up.
more
And even now, the Gandhis are absolutely the ones who are the most popular amongst the national leaders in Punjab. Even more popular than the Prime Minister is the Gandhis.
Or maybe that's why they're on the hit list or something like
They
that.
are.
So but I just want to read out the tweet of this Rokh Khanna. He says, I know Ambassador Sandhu and respect him. When I bring up human rights issues, he always engages with civility, thoughtfulness, and candor. This rhetoric puts diplomats in harm's way. It's dangerous and has no place in democracy. Free speech does not mean license to incite violence. Zarurat kya hai to give this apology in that
You
tweet?
just condemn it
Condemn it
single-handedly.
outrightly.
That's true.
Yeah.
And the problem is that this is the kind of virtue signaling that this guy is doing.
Huh.
That I always talk about human rights also,
Yeah.
and by extension, trying to bring up that there are egregious violations of human rights in India, and it's not as though I'm turning a blind eye to it just because I organized the Modi this thing, or I was one of the
He
leaders.
needs a double dose of Abhijit. Pronto.
Huh. So we need to unleash him once again.
Once more.
And you almost ended his career.
Tell me something. Wasn't he pleading with somebody?
Yeah.
He was.
Let loose the dogs of war.
Wasn't he pleading with somebody
Bring out
that
the
please
gimp.
ask this guy to keep
बड़ा
quiet
डर
or
लगता
something?
है,
Yeah.
that if this guy goes against
So
me
he's
ever-
asked a lot of people to ask me to shut up silently on the side, but whatever.
He
But
did,
it's
no?
not just him, right? I mean, there are a whole bunch of people who do this. When it comes to Khalistan, they are either so terrified that, they live in... You're actually eating samosa with chopsticks.
Yeah, I love it. I don't like my hands getting dirty.
Bichara Xi Jinping jo hai, wo so-
I don't like to make my hand dirty. I'll eat it with a fork.
Yeah, you want a fork here?
I'll eat it with a fork. Thank you.
There's a Chinese song that's come out, which is meant to be Chinese Bollywood. It's called Tian Shu Girl. Tienxu.
Oh,
Tian
it's
Shu
for
Girl.
folks,
And
Sushant.
it's the Chinese version of Bollywood music.
Okay.
Okay.
It's fantastic.
Acha, let's get
is
on
it like
to-
chicken 65 and chicken Manchurian?
Yeah, kind of. What we did to the chicken
thought
manchurian,
chicken- I thought
Tian
Chicken
Shu Girl
65
did too.
was a
Hyderabadi.
South Indian.
Hyderabadi. But the chicken Manchurian, the
Or
chili
is it
chicken.
inspired by the Chinese food?
It is inspired by Chinese food.
Chicken
65 is in all Chinese restaurants.
No. Chicken 65 is not.
Chicken
It's-
65 is
it's
totally Indian Chinese. No.
It
That's true.
originates from something called Arcot chicken.
Correct.
And I know this because in
Oh.
Arcot we used to get it before Chicken 65.
Oh,
became
please.
Just to
Now
clarify,
you
I'm
make
the
our
only
Tamilian.
vegetarian here.
He's making it Tamil.
Everyone
please,
else. No, actually, Abhi also after his Kerala.
Please, it's not just chicken 65, it's paneer 65,
Yeah.
gobi 65,
That's
like
true.
gobi
Abhi,
Manchurian.
are you a vegetarian now?
There's paneer Manchurian.
So we have two vegetarians.
There's paneer Manchurian. Are you still vegetarian? You're breaking my heart. Why?
He's lost 15 kilos, yeah.
Yeah,
No wonder you're
amazing
looking
weight
so-
loss
No
journey.
wonder you're looking so
Yeah.
nice.
Tell us about it.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
So thank you. So
There's a
it's-
glow on your face,
why
by
were
the
you
way.
WhatsApping me that you where am I having brunch and you'll come there and all when you're eating vegetarian food?
He would have had
vegetarian
vegetarian
brunch.
brunch.
Dosa, idli to मिल ही जाएगा ना.
वो सारा मिल जाएगा but
He's going back to the
So
basics.
it
because
was
वो सारा मिल जाएगा
actually
but-
fantastic. This place.
Non-vegetarians have a butt.
Because they were very strict. You can't bring leather in, you can't bring anything dead in, whatever.
Correct.
They do a full, and you might want to lose certain things, but they want you to lose certain other things. So imagine losing 12 kilos in the space of 14 days and then keeping it on because they change the complete metabolism and
It's like
clean
a
your insides
Punjabi
out.
losing her infant on the airport, yeah. 12 kilos.
It really is.
Okay, tell ya,
And you feel so much better at the end of it. You're feeling much more energized.
That's true.
You're feeling motivated. And you need that 12 kilo loss.
Meko nahi koi fark
And
pad raha.
unlike
He's talking
jail,
about this and I'm
like you remember the
eating
last
more
weight loss
samosas.
program I tried was the Odisha jail weight loss
That's true.
program. Which wasn't a very healthy weight loss program. This is actually a super healthy weight loss program because it's like you're feeling great. You're feeling motivated. You're feeling motivated to keep that diet going.
But
you're
the
not
funny,
craving
the
stuff.
real important thing is you've maintained it. It's been what, a month now since you came back?
A month
Yeah.
is not maintenance. Maintenance is 1 year later.
After 1 year, we'll अब जब December वाला
You're just
होगा ना हमारा
jealous.
podcast
Sushant ji,
उसमें
you
देखेंगे.
just-
But हम
Of
लोग
course I'm
samosa-
jealous,
then
yeah.
the next podcast
It's
he
a
will be like
no-brainer,
me.
I'm
She will
jealous,
be
yeah.
like me.
नहीं
I'll
हम
be
लोग
like him.
समोसा
All with
क्यों
the-
खा रहे हैं समोसा कॉकस की वजह
I'll be
से
like you without
Right.
the
After
hair.
what?
Without the
अच्छा,
hair.
we are going back to the
Back
samosa
to the
concept.
samosa caucus.
So will you
please.
have the
Can
hair
we
or not
talk
have?
about can we talk about PM Modi's visit where he talked about the samosa caucus? In that honor, we are eating samosa. और किसी ने हम nationalist हैं इसलिए हम समोसा
You know,
खा रहे
they
हैं.
should be
मैंने
saying,
पकौड़े भी
they should
बोले
be
थे
saying
एक
जब
बार
तक
आ रहे,
रहेगा
आ रहे।
समोसा में आलू तब तक रहेगा बिहार में लालू.
Was
हाँ.
that visit super successful as many are portraying it?
I think so. I think it was very
I think it was average.
You disagree?
I think it's very average. I think we haven't yet signed the engine deals. I haven't seen that. They've spoken about it to HAL. It still hasn't been signed. It's only coming through sources. But I really hope the the drones come through,
I think the
Navy
pricing is-
really needs
So
it.
the drones, they
I
very
know,
I'm talking
explicitly
about Modi's
stated.
visit, not Rahul's visit.
I'm talking about Modi's visit. Is Rahul getting the drones is Rahul getting the drones?
So
Or the
Rahul's
engines?
visit
What
was
is Rahul
successful.
getting?
Rahul will get India together with Pyar Mohabbat.
Oh,
Pyar ki dukaan.
He's getting a pyar ki dukaan.
नहीं प्यार की दुकान.
From
भाई
America?
तू मेरे को
From
ये बता
America,
किस
India.
दुकान में प्यार बिकता है? अगर
मैं
प्यार
बता
बेचा
तो
जाता
रहा
है
की
तो वो
दुकान
प्यार हो ही
में,
नहीं
दिल
सकता
मैं
है।
की
बता तो
दुकान
सकता हूँ कहाँ पर
दिल की
बिकता है,
दुकान
लेकिन
हाँ,
की
no,
दुकान
don't.
में.
This
दिल की
is
दुकान में.
this is a
But-
family podcast.
Yeah. Sushant
Plus, UP
experience.
Kanpur mein dukaan has another meaning, so please be very careful about it.
As he said, it's a family podcast.
But let's go back to the
To
visit.
the visit.
Yeah.
Huh.
With the jet engines, did you notice there was nothing official? It was all sources say this, sources
Yeah.
say that. Nobody was willing to come on the record. Okay. As opposed to the drones, which they came on record. I initially didn't like the deal, but once you dive into it, it's a good deal. Is it paradigm changing for India the way it was portrayed? No. There was nothing paradigm changing out here. Modi was doing this fellow a favor by going there and showing him. Because remember, Trump got the highest Indian votes that any Republican has ever gotten. So it was kind of him going
Let
there.
me
And,
rephrase it. I mean, sorry to interrupt. I think this was the first time that America did not preach us about human rights.
no, wrong. And that was the problem. As gracious as Modi was to Biden, Biden and the Democrat Party were completely ungracious. And not just that, the White House itself was completely ungracious, and I'll tell you why. First was these three, क्या कहते हैं उनको हिंदी में? Vetals, boycotting the Prime Minister's speech.
AOC, Ilan and...
अरे वो तीन वेताल.
Jaipal.
And Pramila Jaipal actually looks like that Vikram or Vetal ka jo aata tha na TV serial.
Please,
She actually, I mean, I invite our viewers to actually go check it out. She looks like Vikram and
No,
the
but
Vetal.
I don't think the boycott really.
That mattered,
No, but
yeah.
see, the boycott didn't matter.
No.
Then deliberately vitiating the atmosphere, getting
Behind
those
closed
70...
doors is
One
fine,
second,
yaar.
one second, let me finish. 70 people signing that letter, all Democrats. Barack Obama giving that, though that was his own politics playing out there. He's trying for a palace coup with Michelle Obama against
You
Biden.
think Biden had something
One
to
second,
do
let
with
me
it?
finish. Then, Biden had the right to call the first journalist. Tell me, if Biden comes to India and we get a Russian journalist who's just become a naturalized citizen to ask about his pedophile son and the granddaughter he doesn't want to accept, how would Biden react? How would the White House react to it? You get a daughter of a Pakistani, the great-granddaughter of Syed Ahmad Khan, to ask the question. You know exactly what the question is going to be when it's given to a Pakistani. Just because she's become American doesn't change squat.
Or she's worn a Indian cricket team
I
t-shirt.
think when Biden comes here, the first question should go to an RT journalist, an RT or a Sputnik journalist, just for fun.
Achha, even
And
if
wait,
she
but
asked
what-
the
what- one
question,
second.
Then,
Abhijit,
what happened
I think the
after
Prime
that?
Minister answered
wasn't
fine.
wasn't the Indian
One
embassy
second, one
saying...
second, one
Just one
second.
second. Who's the
One second.
journalist? Wasn't that selected?
Of course, it was selected.
was.
Biden
So-
called. It was predetermined by Biden who
So
would
what
be
was
selected.
our embassy doing?
You can't
be-
reject.
How
So there
can
are
you
two
can't?
questions. So I asked the question during Manmohan Singh's state visit, right? What happens is that the American side gets 1 or 2, depending on what the decision is, that 2 and 2 or 1 and 1. So if it is 2 and 2, then both the American journalists are selected by the American side. Both the Indian journalists are selected from the Indian side. The prime ministers and the presidents don't know what the questions are, but they know the person selected. Once the Americans select the person, that person can ask a question of their president and our prime minister, or only ask their president. It happens in Hyderabad House too. When we have state visits, they are selected. Sometimes, the most humiliating thing was when the American guy wouldn't even bother to ask our prime minister a question. Then he used to feel that, yeah, तेरे पास chance है और तू पूछता नहीं है. The only question they used to ask is Kashmir.
No, so
So
sorry.
one
sorry,
second,
just-
we
sorry,
got
okay,
one
yeah,
second.
please,
We
please,
got
huh.
waylaid. Then what happens is, she doesn't get trolled. She gets trolled when a certain fact checker publicizes the fact that nobody knew about her, that she's Sir Syed Ahmad Khan's great granddaughter. Then the trolling goes through the
What,
roof.
supposing she was
Then-
Syed Ahmad Khan's great-granddaughter, we should have all genuflected before
Exactly. Well, I mean, as if
What
it's
does that
some,
mean?
as if it's some
her.
Khandani
And he wasn't a very
inheritance.
great man considering his ideology.
He was a complete
and-
piece of trash,
and
but that's
his
a different
bigotry.
matter.
So,
But then what
quite a
happens
bigot.
is,
Yeah,
John
exactly.
Kirby, who's the spokesperson, comes and says, "Oh, we condemn this trolling." This when his own people have gone and trolled, like that Taylor Lawrence, who he loves so much, that woman, she chased up that libs of TikTok woman and exposed her family and this and that. वो सब trolling नहीं था. Then Karine Jean-Pierre, when she's not even asked a question, decides to append an answer to a question she's not been asked to a question she has been asked.
That's the spokesperson, KJP.
So, you know, I think it was...
African उसके पीछे पड़ा हुआ है जूते लेके.
So I think it was a very,
Exactly.
very deliberate attempt at... I don't think it was innocent, but 100% kudos to Modi. He carried it off very, very
he
well.
He just answered it fine. That's
I
what
think the
I
answer was very
capable.
good. I honestly,
it was
I may have
motherhood
chosen
and
it.
apple pie, but still it was okay, fine.
Yeah.
He gave a,
You
he
can't-
gave a generic answer. What?
Exactly.
Why would he get into specifics? He's
You
not
don't
getting
need to get
you
into
don't need to get
specifics,
into-
but what I'm trying
No,
to
but-
say is
but-
that
but
he
tell me
handled it well.
something.
So why should we be so upset about
But
it?
who was upset about it?
No,
upset?
Indians
Why?
started getting so worked up. Now, how dare she be given the question? How
is-
dare she ask the
that-
question?
I
How
agree with
dare
that.
she came about after this certain fact checker said that she was Syed. There is a connotation to being Sir Syed Ahmad Khan, anything. Plus a woman who, both of whose parents are Pakistanis.
Okay,
I
my
mean, there
thing
has to
is-
be, I think, I am not willing to accept that the White House didn't know that her parents were Pakistani.
Of course they knew.
Of course they knew.
But tell me something.
Okay.
You know, when the moment somebody asks you this kind of a question, you know, rather than giving the kind of answer, I would have thought it might have been a good one to, you know, counter question the
Yeah.
person.
I
give
said it there and then as well.
Give me
He did.
proper
He said
statistics
that
here.
democracy, it's not seen as a democracy. We are a
We are
democracy.
No, no, that was all very well.
that
but
was
what I'm saying
given
is that,
back.
you know, give me specific instances when you are saying, and all these white folk, you know, who carrying the white man's burden still, will keep coming up with all kinds of nonsensical
So-
stuff of discrimination. Please give me
So, you know, I-
specific
so I
instances
I just
of
disagree.
felt that
I
you know that it
disagree
was
here.
a successful visit, which just got tarred because of this one question.
I don't think
the
that
back-
No, no, no.
And
I think it was
Obama.
a lot
I don't think
more.
the question
And Obama.
barred it.
I think it was a lot more.
We just
think
turned it into victim
But I
mode.
disagree with him on Obama being a palace coup. I think this is good cop, bad cop. I think the Americans always do it. I mean, you guys know better. But I don't think it's a palace coup. I think he did that.
No.
I didn't think they-
Obama's trying to weaken. Obama and Michelle are
course he
trying to
tried to
weaken
weaken.
They
Biden.
don't want Biden to come up. I'm
Yeah.
presuming because he's a loser
Kamala?
in the second term. I don't see Biden
Yeah,
winning
Biden,
the second.
and
and
my
people-
question
your-
is,
your
how is it
Tamilian,
not a
relative?
successful visit?
Oh, it is a
Please don't do
successful
that.
I thought it
visit.
was a very, very successful
Okay,
visit.
she's Iyengar. She's not Iyer, okay?
Oh God! Again, we've got way late. What is this?
Kamala, Pasand.
Oh, okay. Forget.
No, so
Go ahead.
my question is how, you know, people, you can keep getting into, you know, this very kind of detailed kind of a thing. कि ये नहीं मिला, वो नहीं मिला. You look at the broad brush when you look at the visit. You look at where the trajectory of relations are going. I think it was a damn successful visit. Number one. Number two. See, the drones are important simply because that's not a technology. Forget the technology. They don't even sell the drones to everybody.
Yeah.
Right? It's a very selected kind of a clientele which they have. They can give it to some of the NATO countries, but even there, I think, and you've expounded on that fact of the kind of different systems that are put onto the drones, those country-specific enhancements. When you put that in, so the drones, if you think that they're going to give you the technology, that's not going to happen. Okay, number one. On the jet engines again, if I remember correctly, the jet engines are very much mentioned in the joint statement.
Yeah.
It's happening. Some details of the actual contract probably need to be worked out. Now,
99% is in the details.
yeah, everything is always in the details. And I can tell you one thing, no matter what happens, nobody is going to give you 100% technology transfer. Have the Russians given us every technology transfer?
We were meant to get it with the Sukhoi, mind you. The Saturn engines.
Have they
we were
given
meant to-
it?
नहीं.
That's not the.
Rafale के साथ मिलना था, वो भी नहीं
talk
मिलेगा.
about BrahMos, which we are supposed to be jointly manufacturing with the
BrahMos,
Russians.
they did
They- no,
give us.
BrahMos
They
is-
did
no,
give
no,
us.
BrahMos
They
is manufacturing
gave
now
us the
in-
rocket motor
Yeah,
technology.
देखो-
We could not
No, no,
indigenize
BrahMos
it. The
we are.
fault lies
Yeah,
with
yeah.
us.
Look, one second. There are a lot of the stuff in the BrahMos is still Russian proprietary technology.
But the motor
which
they
are
gave
not
us.
So
Isn't-
they've given you
isn't
something,
India
they've
making
not
its own
given you
missiles
many
and
other
exporting
things.
it?
Yeah. So
India are making its own missiles on the BrahMos line. It is.
that's not the point I'm trying to make to you. I'm saying that even the Russians have
100%
not given you a 100%
technology transfer,
technology
he's
transfer.
saying.
But we're not talking about transfer of technology 100%. I'm saying the drones are important, especially for the Navy, for the South
I
Pacific.
think the jet engines are just as important.
I'll tell you where
Simply
PM
What
because-
is what is the thing that we would have wanted on the Khalistan issue? What is it like?
Can I say something
does
on
it-
economic? I think PM
Okay,
missed
sure.
on economic.
Yeah.
I think he should have taken up the PNW engines that have grounded GoAir and have grounded Indigo now, 42 airlines. We have given US a massive order. Again, these engines, these drones. PNW has lost the arbitration. I'm no spokesperson for GoAir, but people in India are gone jobless. The entire airlines is grounded. They have lost the arbitration in Singapore.
I think
Indigo
GoAir-
now 44. No, Indigo now 44 airlines are grounded.
But listen, I think
Lufthansa is grounded.
GoAir-
Lufthansa
GoAir-
they reacted
GoAir
well.
has its own issues. It should have taken Pratt and Whitney to arbitration.
It did.
not.
It won in Singapore. It did. It won in Singapore like Lufthansa.
But uske baad kya hua?
So they honored Lufthansa and they told GoAir, sorry you won, we can't do anything.
No, because they won the arbitration fine. But what happened to the... Look, an arbitration is enforceable.
It is. So they're not enforcing it.
They are not enforcing it. Why?
Because the government is not backing
It has
That is-
nothing to do with
it
the
has
government.
nothing to do with the
So
government.
They have gone back now. Now they've started. Now they've said this. We cannot pay interest on these airlines.
Look,
They said we will
GoAir
replace-
has problems all of its own which have nothing to do with
No,
the
no, there are
engines.
many
The
problems of GoAir. I'm not an expert on the
disputing it,
commercial
but-
sides of
but
things.
the airlines are grounded. Even Indigo.
No, they
42
can. The airlines, the aircraft can be grounded. All of that. But look, we are wading into a business dispute. Number one. Number two.
And these are people.
One second. Arbitration. When an arbitration award is given, the government has nothing to do with it. when it's between two companies.
No, I'm not
Right.
talking like a socialist. I'm saying if you're buying so much from
Tehseen, the
US,
arbitration
it
ka
is our
results
duty to
are
help our business. In
automatic.
fact, I'm talking like an entrepreneur. It is our duty to help our
Tehseen,
businessmen.
the
Government is
results of
duty-bound to
once an
help them.
arbitration
it's-
comes, it is binding on governments to implement it.
And yet,
there's nothing
and
you
yet
can do.
PNW is not implementing it for an
and
Indian
that is
company
up
and
to
doing it for
GoAir to
Lufthansa.
talk to,
Okay,
talk
so
to
And
the
they
US
are, but
government
in
to
the meanwhile,
implement
they've
it.
gone bankrupt.
One second. Supposing you go to a court in India.
Right.
It passes a judgment in your favor.
Right.
And people stop. Nobody implements it.
Right.
Okay. What happens?
You have recourse to.
You go back to the court and you ask them to get the judgment implemented.
Right.
So I'll give you an example what the Pakistanis did. There were certain arbitration clauses against them. The arbitration court then said, okay, fine, seize their, the buildings, their hotel, and all kinds of other properties had to be seized.
Embassies.
Embassies,
Really?
all kinds of things, right? So that is how the arbitration thing actually starts working. Okay. Now it is on GoAir. If there is an arbitration award which has come in their favor, it is on GoAir to go and seek the enforcement and add damages to that enforcement.
And this is what happened with us in the
but they're
Cairn
doing- but they're-
arbitration.
but
You
they're
remember?
doing- yeah, but
They
they're
threatened
doing
to
it.
seize
Yeah.
our assets in France,
Yeah.
and that
Yeah,
is why we
exactly.
had to then change the entire law overnight.
But they are doing it. But in the meanwhile, the airlines is grounded. The interest is piling up. People have been left jobless. They're not getting
look,
salary.
this
I
is-
think if we're buying so much from the US,
So
it
look,
is the duty
Tehseen-
of the
Tehseen,
government to
look,
protect.
Tehseen, to be fair, they knew what the problem with the Pratt and Whitney engine was a year and a half, 2 years back. They didn't act on it. They accepted. No, they did not.
Yeah,
they acted on it very, very
Along
late.
with
There
Lufthansa.
were already lots of problems that were piling up for them that had nothing to do with the engine. The engine exacerbated problems, sure. They acted very late. They didn't sequentially follow up with the enforcement order and things like that. I'm sorry, but there's no part of this where GoAir comes out smelling like
No,
roses.
I think if so many Indians have gone jobless, if two airlines, one is grounded 42, GoAir would have had what, 10,000, 8,000, 7,000 employees overall? And then
It's a
also,
private company.
It is.
but didn't Biden come out and for the private
the company
when
has
the order
not
was
gone
given?
belly up because of the
It
just
has.
the engines.
It has.
It has.
It hasn't
has-
gone.
has-
Indigo,
It's-
40
it has
planes are
much
now
before
grounded.
that.
It's
Yeah,
not.
40 planes are
It was.
grounded.
It was already in deep trouble
Yeah.
before.
So let's get on to the
UCC.
next topic. Let's talk about UCC now. Anand, what is your view on the UCC?
It has to be implemented, but I just hope Modi has the courage to do it and not repeal it or retreat once he's
Like the
put
farm
it
laws.
in motion, like the farm laws, like CAA in a way, because they keep asking for extensions for
NRC,
notification of
yeah.
it. NRC, yeah. So it has to. I mean, how can it not be? It's shocking why there are unequal laws. It's unbelievable. And I give the example, and so it's like 1 hour debate, and people are talking like this, and मैंने कहा यार ये सब बंद करो. बस एक चीज का जवाब दो. 5 लोग यहाँ बैठे हुए हैं. मैंने पैनल में पूछा, are you for or are you against, yes and no, giving equal share of inheritance to a daughter compared to a son? Someone says yes, yes of course. Someone says yes of course. And then the people who are opposing the UCC say no, they're not. In today's day and age, because their allegiance first and foremost is not to a law which is just or equal or something, it is to a holy book. And you can't go against it. That's the problem.
But it's more than
It's
that,
not.
right?
It's not an Islam
It's
issue.
not
It's
an-
not at all an Islam
Yeah.
issue.
Yeah.
I find this
I mean,
very.
some part-
attentive.
I want
Some
to
people,
understand.
yes.
So I want to understand one
And
thing.
UCC already exists in India, by the way. The
Goa.
No. The Special Marriage Act.
Huh.
So the Special Marriage Act exists. It's marriage, divorce, inheritance from Jammu and Kashmir to Kanyakumari, Nagaland to Gujarat. It's one law, one nation, anyone, to Muslims, to Hindus,
यहाँ ये
Muslim,
गलत
Hindu. एक second. The point that is made is, when you talk about inheritance, the entire Northeast, the inheritance structure is different. Some like Muslims. You didn't say Muslims, I'm saying that you meant Muslims. Now the fact is, are you going to take away the 6th schedule of the constitution? Because for example, in some of the northeastern states,
Yeah,
which are
in
matriarchal,
Meghalaya, the younger
daughter's husband gets more.
Yeah.
Not
Then-
anymore.
No, that is how it is.
even the entire Khasi thing.
Yeah.
So it's going to become very
The
difficult.
church sought with
so
that
the,
all the,
so the
these things.
northeast.
There are 3 or 4
So
things.
some tribal, they will have exceptions.
But then how is it
so
UCC?
then, yeah, that's what I can't.
So
understand.
first
It's
of
very
all-
Now
confusing.
in
First of
Goa,
all-
one
no,
second,
no.
just one line. In Goa, the Hindu male above the age of 30, if he does not have a male child, can marry the second time officially.
OVC का ये argument
In
अभी
Gujarat,
चल रहा है.
in Gujarat,
Congress and B team, A team आ गई सामने.
in Gujarat, there is something called Maitri Karar, where a Hindu man can officially have a girlfriend while being married. I am for
So
UCC.
is that wrong or right?
I think it's wrong. I think remove everything.
Remove it then.
Are
Yeah,
you going
so
to
remove
remove
it.
it?
I mean,
Are you going
what
to remove
kind
it?
of argument is
Are
this?
they
Oh,
going to
yaar,
remove
ek
it?
minute,
Yes,
one
they
second.
are
समझ में नहीं आ रहा है.
including 6th schedule.
Yes,
The district
crazy.
city councils are created by BJP
Anything
as well
that
in
is
Assam.
unjust,
If
remove it.
BJP or Congress or whatever.
I
You're
okay.
having a
I
girlfriend
think-
when you're married is not unjust.
Yeah.
It might be
agree.
immoral, but it's not illegal.
No, ये immorality क्या होता है?
By some
And
moral
a condom.
standards, I can't say this publicly because I have a
Because
wife
you have
who
a
would
wife.
beat the hell out of me.
She will want to check all the contracts in
but
Gujarat.
but you know, I'm sure at least the 4 of us will understand, or maybe some people are too deeply in love. Acha, I can speak for myself, but the aspiration तो होती है आदमी की यार.
So who
ये
you are
इसको-
swipe off?
I
So who
hope
have you are
I
swipe
hope
off?
he's not been writing to law commission.
Yeah.
But I,
Make exception
no,
for girlfriends in UCC.
no. But Tehseen, on a more serious note.
Wait, let me
See,
call your
number
wife
one-
and talk to her.
Don't यार ऐसे मत कर वो अब वैसे
Which
भी-
one?
वो ये
Have you
political
seen
type
his,
का
have
वो
you
इसी
seen
का
his
show
phone?
देखती है.
Wife
हाँ.
1,
हाँ,
wife 2,
two.
wife urgent 1, wife urgent 2 ऐसे स्टोर करता है.
Wife actually कौन है? Who's wife?
एक ये यार बहुत मुश्किल
नहीं
होता है
वो
उसी के साथ.
सुप्रीम कोर्ट, हाई कोर्ट,
No, no,
सेशंस
but I-
कोर्ट ऐसे
See,
नहीं.
See, Anand
You-
is itching
Smita-
to go at me.
No, Smita had asked me the question.
Yeah.
So,
So
by
let it-
my
so
lord,
please,
you know,
please,
at least
please.
let me finish it.
Please.
Tehseen, if somebody is following an unjust law, that doesn't give you an excuse for the, for you to propagate that law should exist, right?
Right.
So number one, when you're talking about if something unjust is happening in Goa, a man can marry again if the daughter is not, that is unjust. Remove it.
Correct.
On the pretext of keeping it,
Correct.
you can't keep something that allows for pedophilia. I'm sorry. You can't. And Gujarat High Court has ratified this. Puberty, girls, as soon as they reach puberty, they are legally allowed to be married to a Muslim man. That is science. Go by what science tells you.
And I'm
abortion
absolutely
age.
going
No,
by
let me
what going by
finish.
science said. But no.
So it has been proven scientifically that
for-
it
I am
causes
for
great
UCC.
mental and physical
Anand-
harm to the female body.
Anand, your arguments
When the marriage
are...
happens, just okay, like that. The other thing is, why shouldn't daughters get the same as sons?
They
Now,
should.
these are patently, things that are just,
But
moral,
you are repeating something
scientific.
we are all in favor of.
No,
I
you're
am
not.
saying, is
You
there...
are not.
No, you are speaking for
Because
me. You are speaking for me, my friend.
You're saying that will they take that
I know,
out?
I'm saying-
just because they haven't verbalized
no,
that.
I'm saying, is there a proposal? There is no proposal between us. We don't even have the Uttarakhand
Huh,
proposal.
okay,
Point number
fine.
one. Point number two, sixth schedule is protected by the constitution. If you bring in UCC, are you going to have exceptions? Then it's not UCC.
So abhi to proposals aayenge na Tehseen. Once the proposals come,
So then what is the debate about?
So that is what.
That is what the debate is about.
What I have a problem with
It's
is, and I'll tell
necessary
you
to
from the
debate
Muslim
it,
side
right?
also what I have
Instead of
a-
slamming it down the
No,
throats of
there
people.
is no need to debate it, because even from the Muslim side, the debate is so polarizing. You get two Muslim sort of scholars who are actually, I don't know if they're scholars or no. They come on TV, they don't know what the issue is. Nobody
Anybody who
knows.
comes on TV is not a scholar. Except for us.
Present company. I
No,
just,
so TV picks up the most reactionary
Yeah,
elements
exactly.
in the Muslim
And then
community
the-
and makes them as representatives of the Muslim
then the
community.
perception
You
becomes-
remember that one guy who
That's
was
right.
from SDPI or something?
I disagree.
500 vote the yaar.
हार गया था.
I have seen very genial Muslims come out and complete talk to their bottom. I have seen it.
No, वो भी होता है.
That
of
is
course.
across. That is
वो
across.
leftist होते हैं.
That is across.
leftist.
That is
अच्छा
across.
एक ही बात.
I agree.
I rest my case.
तो लेफ्टिस्ट ही तो एकेडमिक्स होते हैं, क्या बोल रहे हो यार सुशांत?
Then leftist की हो. हम लोग
Let
हम
me
लोग
lead.
भी
मर गए क्या हम लोग?
हम लोग सूडो academic हैं, but ठीक है.
Yeah.
see, I just want to state for the record, I support the institution of plural marriage.
Plural manage.
Be it polygamy, polyandry, or polyamory, it is an institution that is etched in the cultural memory of our history and times.
We are going to get banned.
And we must
We are going to get
support.
banned.
No, so listen.
No,
that-
can we come back to
no, one
serious
second.
issues?
So that,
Will UCC have gay marriage and same sex? I really think that should happen.
नहीं,
If
ये
you have
क्या बोल
UCC,
रहा है
why
यार
not?
देखो
Why
एक-
not?
One second.
If you have
हर
UCC,
चीज को-
why not have
see, this is
same-sex
the
marriage?
Congress strategy.
What Congress strategy?
Muddy
If you
the
have
water.
UCC, why not have same-
Muddy the water. उसमें ऐसे.
And how cleverly.
So,
Why
one
don't you
second,
not
one
have
second.
same-sex marriage?
1 second.
कांग्रेस amended the constitution 108 times.
यार-
अभी ये 3 बार बोल चुका है. Constitution का 6th वो है, वो amend करना पड़. अरे भाई
अरे
100
वो-
बार आप कर चुके हो.
अरे वो sixth schedule is akin to a basic structure. It's not so easy
अच्छा,
to amend.
where does it say basic structure?
आप करते देखो amend. आप करो
Look
ना
at
amend.
this.
मैं तो I want
सड़कों
UCC.
पे आग लगाओगे आप?
मैं
अच्छा,
तो I want
okay,
UCC. I am
तहसीन को
pro
छोड़ो.
UCC.
Why are some political parties backing it and others very ambiguous? Like for example,
Both for wrong reasons.
why Aam Aadmi
Correct.
Party?
Correct.
Why is Aam Aadmi Party on the same side as the BJP on this? And then there is confusion in the Congress ranks. They don't know which way to go. So what is the political game?
See, I'll tell you the first thing that एक तो nobody said about UCC anything. Surreptitiously it came out that somebody tweeted कि अरे यार law commission ने ये कह दिया. So as is the norm, the Congress is a master at deception and the BJP is a disaster at perception. Honestly, what should have happened is a prominent Congress law minister or someone should have come out and said, this is what we want. These are the things. Please write in. Give us. We are giving you a month or maybe more, whatever. This.
Congress?
Now the fact. No, BJP.
No, you said Congress. That's right. You said
Okay.
Congress law
The
minister.
BJP law
BJP
minister
law
should
minister.
come.
Fair point.
Yeah.
That's fair.
I don't know whether the BJP law minister was ex-Congress, but that's another.
That could be
matter.
another matter.
काफी चल
Yeah.
रहा है.
There's-
आजकल काफी चल रहा है.
Washing
But
powder
the fact of the
BJP.
matter is, BJP should.
I
have
sung that
come
with
out-
you.
Please do not sing, Tehseen.
I can't sing
Can
for
I
nuts.
sing?
Come
I
out.
want to sing Tip Tip Barsa Pani.
Ah,
BJP should have come out and said these are the people who supported the UCC. The first amongst them was Ambedkar. उसको कोट करो ना. कल मैंने कोट किया.
यार देखो-
Now, if somebody says UCC is wrong, then automatically he is going against Ambedkar.
So
ये logic है
Mayawati
यार.
will come on your side.
Correct.
Right? So,
So
a
people,
whole bunch of
so
people.
Kejriwal is supporting because his ministers and people have already quoted Ambedkar on this.
Huh. But
You
then
can't
what
go
is,
against
what,
it.
like what are the Akalis going to do?
Exactly.
Because
They
the
don't-
Akalis are also split in
And
this issue.
BJP's reached out there. But forget
This-
BJP, forget
the
the
Sikh
politics.
Sangat is also divided.
Just
यार
one thing,
देखो,
the
simple
Congress
सा
has been
तरीका
very
Are you
clear.
against Ambedkar?
I am for UCC.
देखो,
I
देख
don't
रहे
know
हो?
what the UCC is. I am
You have
for,
to
I
frame
got
it.
married against Special Marriage Act. No, it's not about framing it. I am for UCC. All I'm asking is very specific questions. What happens in the Northeast? That's a very specific question.
Okay, fine.
Justice will happen in the Northeast. ले लो
What
अब.
that's a very vague term. Will their inheritance rights be protected or gone? Because they have come into the union on certain terms and conditions. Therefore, 371.
No. Their accession to India, no. Their accession to India wasn't based on that. Sorry.
371 is there to
Their
protect the
accession
culture.
to India was not based on any protection of rights.
371 is not that?
No.
Why did BJP
It was
say
not.
it's-
It was not conditional. It was not conditional.
I
to
never
the
said it's
protection.
conditional. I said
Second,
371 is
understand.
absolutely
Even
fundamental to them.
inheritance rights out there have gone haywire out there since they converted to Christianity. Remember, my state Kerala used to be a matriarchal in practice, but matrilinear technically, which in 1972, following a referendum, was forced into patriarchy. Okay, so these laws have changed over time. They've changed in the Northeast as well.
That's great.
Okay, and now it is a uniformization of personal laws.
Great.
Okay.
And
just the
So great. So
political.
the
one minute, the
371
political.
and
the
inheritance rights are the inheritance rights of all the children have to be protected,
Absolute.
irrespective of gender.
Gender
But
or
Smita,
age.
10 seconds. You know what my worry is? I'll tell you what my worry is. CAA did not affect the Indian Muslims at all.
Yeah.
And you saw for 1 year, 1.5
I
years,
object.
what mayhem they wrecked.
I have gone
What?
to
No,
court on
no,
CAA.
no, no,
It is against the constitution.
Arre.
It
It
was
is
a
not against
the
terrible,
constitution.
terrible law.
It was not against the
Let me
Terrible.
finish.
हाँ,
Let
बोलो,
me
हाँ,
finish. यार, I have written on this.
So I have gone to
CAA
court. I'm in court on it.
हाँ तो
कोर्ट तो यार लोग ऐसे ही चले जाते हैं आजकल ऐसे कौन सी बड़ी बात है?
मैं भी गया वहाँ
लिख भी ऐसे लेते हैं। लिख भी ऐसे लेते हैं।
एक minute. The stuff that you are saying, the pros and cons of the UCC. Are some political parties egging on the BJP to go ahead with the UCC so that फिर से आग लग जाए? Election से पहले
आग या आग? पहले ये clarify कर दो।
fire,
हाँ,
fire.
fire, okay.
Let the fire rage and burn like the CAA and see what happened with the CAA, right? Like Delhi election went out of the hands of BJP.
Yeah.
AAP got it. So are political parties egging on the BJP that karo?
Can
If I just finish what I was about to say.
Let
Just
me add.
finish.
Let me add
Add to
your
that.
point. So did BJP lose the Delhi election because आग लग गई थी?
नहीं नहीं.
Or did they lose the election क्योंकि उन्होंने आग बुझाई नहीं थी?
Exactly.
Very important.
I would
point.
say the latter.
Very important.
Well, whatever the
Shahid
reason.
Bagh, so union government was encouraging an Amit Shah.
Union, no?
Yeah, I meant union. Sorry, I meant Amit Shah and the home
But
BJP
मैं
government.
जो कह रहा था, let me finish. CAA, despite what Tehseen say, I humbly disagree. Nothing to do with Indian Muslims. I've written about it, and 4 people versus 1 agree with this.
And the Home
issue-
Minister
and
saying,
they burned
and the
the
Home
country
Minister
for a
saying
year.
chronology समझो.
Tehseen यार, ये बड़ी
नहीं नहीं, but chronology जो समझो. You can't say नहीं है ना. He said we will first bring in CA and then we'll do NRC.
And he didn't
NRC.
do it, yaar.
तो-
That's what everything is.
But he
number
did
तुम
say
लोग
it
जीत
ना,
गए
but
ना
he did
फिर.
say
यार,
ना,
अब मैं
but he did say
technicality
ना.
में जाऊंगा.
नहीं technicality ने
CAA
कहा पहला
was an
NRC
amnesty.
पहली से
2019 से पहले. यार, let's not discuss that. Even if you disagree with
हम
me,
तो
सुन तो
UCC
लो.
पे बात कर रहे हैं।
UCC
हाँ,
पे बात करते हैं.
मैं कह रहा हूँ CAA had nothing to do with Indian Muslims, and yet they burnt people who did from that community, burned the country down for a year.
I again
illegally.
object to this.
यहाँ
It's not
पे
people from one community.
It affects the Muslims more than any other community. Let's be very honest about it. We are looking at a civil war if the government does not handle this properly.
One second.
Really
one second.
are.
What does handle properly mean?
Handle
I need to
is
step in.
do not allow
I
illegal
don't think-
protests, do not allow blockades like they did, do not allow
as
what
in be professional.
Sushant is saying.
Don't be unprofessional
Yes.
like the
No,
farm
no.
laws. Don't treat
Exactly.
internal security like a joke like you did with CANRC or the farm laws.
Absolutely.
I agree with all of that, but I don't agree with the fact that it affects Muslims more. For
क्या बात कर रहा है?
I'll give you data. You're a man of data and science.
हाँ, बताओ.
You know, Smita ji, polygamy is almost equal amongst Muslims and Hindus. Not, I don't see this.
Bring it.
Ministry of Health Affairs Family Department has given this on affidavit in Supreme Court. Polygamy is the highest amongst tribals. Number 2, so that's polygamy. Amongst underage marriages, 83% of the girls married below 10, 83% are Hindu girls, 11% are Muslim
You know,
girls.
अभी मैं
Now,
demolish
I
करूं?
know
करूं
that
demolish?
Hindus can be arrested.
नहीं,
I know that Hindus can be
Shall I
arrested.
demolish
But
your
one
argument?
second, let me finish. You asked me to finish. So this, even if the law exists for our Hindu fellow citizens, it's not being implemented. Now let's come to a larger issue. The fact of the matter is, CA, the protest started in Assam. In fact, ANI was the first one to cover when the Assam protest started at Jantar Mantar. CA protest started with Assam because the Assam Accord went. And even with this UCC,
That was not CA
BJP
protest.
in
That
its
was something
manifesto
else.
has put recently, as recent as 2023, in Nagaland, Tripura, UCC will not come in. It's in BJP's state manifestos, 2023.
अब now let me demolish your argument. Okay. The
You give
Hindu
yourself
court will-
certificate, like Modi ji gives.
करने दो ना
करो
करने दो
करो वाह आनंद
कभी-कभी
वाह
राहुल
वाह आनंद वाह
मेरा ही बैचमेट है राहुल गांधी थोड़ा इफेक्ट तो आएगा ना
है ना
Rubbing the
batchmate, at
shoulders.
least he studied, somebody you studied with. You know who studied
No,
with.
no, Tehseen,
Who
please.
studied?
You know who Rahul Gandhi studied with. Genuine.
Yeah,
He
he
left
He
in
left
between.
without giving the exams, but that's another matter. Now,
Tehseen chup.
No, that's because he went for security this thing. You know that.
Huh.
अब मैं कुछ कह रहा था, मैं
बोलो बोलो. You were saying
were going to demolish
my
demolish
argument.
the argument.
Yeah, yeah.
Ha, ha.
The only time when India has managed to quote unquote reform the society and people have accepted it is through Hindu code bills.
Right.
Tell me one reform that has been brought for the Muslim community that was not sanctioned in the holiest of holy book. Not one.
All right. Now,
Shah Banos, that thing was bought because it is in Quran, it was turned over. Triple Talaq is not in Quran. That is why the Muslims have accepted it.
So-
Muslims will not, I'm telling you the truth.
Muslims
The
have
Muslim
nothing to
community,
do
let
with
me finish.
UCC.
They will not accept a single quote-unquote reform that goes against the holy book.
Okay, now let's demolish
Otherwise,
your
name one,
argument. No,
yeah.
let's demolish your
Name
argument.
one.
Let's demolish your argument.
I'm asking you to name one reform.
I'm with data.
Name
I'm
it.
demolishing your argument. The Muslim codification and reforms happened in 1937, where Muslims of that time were free to choose whether you want to go into Sharia or you want to choose the normal laws. Number
यार,
one.
अब की
Please,
बात करो.
Please.
Ignorance can be bliss.
अभी
Do you know the Muslims of
1947 तुमने 1947 के
Kerala were following the Hindu code bills.
I agree.
Muslims of
I
Kerala
agree.
before independence were
अभी-
following that is what Ambedkar
I
said in the
agree.
constitution.
I agree with you. And
अब
who
की बात करो.
अब और तब की बात आपने शुरू की.
You know,
Who opposed? One second.
Jinnah's
One
community
second.
came under the Hindu,
Correct. So
Hindu
do
personal law.
the other countries.
Tehseen.
What?
I'm not.
Yeah,
So do other
Jinnah's
countries.
community.
I'm not disputing it.
Jinnah's community, his particular branch of
Khojas.
Khoja Shias,
I'm a Khoja.
they came under Hindu personal law.
Yeah.
Tehseen Hindu hai.
Tehseen is
मैं
Hindu.
नास्तिक हूँ, but yeah, I mean, we puja and all at home.
So
Everything.
you didn't need to do the Special Marriages Act actually.
Why Monica and I did it is because we wanted all these things that Anand.
She gets all the rights in Special Marriages Act. It's very women friendly.
She anyways has all the rights. She anyways all the rights.
Huh.
But look, I don't think this is a Muslim issue as much as this is a.
Who is richer of the
Northeast.
two, you or her?
I'm a poor man. मैं तो फकीर आदमी हूँ. मैं तो अभी शर्ट भी मांग कर आया हूँ इस पॉडकास्ट के डिजाइन को, भाई कुछ दे दे पहनने को, ना फोटो वेटो खिंचवा लो. मैं फकीर आदमी
देखो
हूँ.
यार, राइट्स का कोई मतलब नहीं है जब
देखो,
तक.
there is a very simple way of implementing a UCC.
Just do it.
No. Bring in the law and make it, the law will receive primacy when there is a dispute. हाँ, आनंद, अगर dispute होता है, so we are both supposing married, right?
Right.
And our marriage is breaking up. It is the right, if any one partner, regardless of what your religion is, decides that they want the divorce proceedings to be done under the UCC, the UCC will take primacy over the
But
religious
that's the
law.
Special Marriage Act. You could just get married in the Special Marriage Act.
Yeah,
It's
but
not
that
just
you have to
marriage,
get
na.
married,
UCC
na.
में सिर्फ marriage भी
No,
नहीं.
divorce भी है ना
It's
Special
not
Marriage Act
just
में.
it's not
It's
marriage and
inheritance
divorce.
beyond that.
It's
So
inheritance.
supposing,
so
so I am
much.
a Muslim, for example.
It should be the right of invocation
So-
at any time
Exactly.
of existence.
So
if
it's
any one of the parties invokes you,
That's a good
UCC,
suggestion.
then
That's a
UCC
good
applies.
suggestion.
तो वो
I am
HUF
for
वगैरह नहीं होगा, वो
UCC.
क्या होता है?
तो नहीं होगा.
Hindu undivided family.
But by the way, just one second, one trivia. Golwalkar opposed UCC.
अरे यार,
I'm
okay,
just trivia.
one
I'm
second.
giving you
तो
trivia.
गोलवर्कर
I
जो
am
बाकी
giving you
चीजें,
trivia.
नहीं, गोलवर्कर जो बाकी चीजें बोल रहा है, तुम वो भी मानो, मैं उनको UCC मान लेता हूँ.
मैंने सिर्फ ट्रिविया दिया.
नहीं,
ये
ऐसे-
क्या मान
मैंने
रहे यार?
trivia
I
दिया.
want to say something. You know,
This is such a
अरे मैंने ट्रिविया
no
दिया.
trivia सब मेरे को बहुत ये ना तुम लोग ट्रिविया इसलिए देते हो because you think
जानबूझ
this will divert the thing.
अरे I
क्या
am
मैंने
pro
गोलवर्कर
UCC.
ने ले लिया, अब ये डिफेंस
अब ये हेडगेवर की भी बोलेगा, अभी सावरकर भी बोलेगा.
just say
So, you know what
yesterday.
these guys, the Congress guys always do? वाजपेयी जी ने बोला था, तो वाजपेयी कोई खुदा थे कि उन्होंने बोल दिया था, तो जो कुछ उन्होंने बोला हमको फॉलो करना है.
अरे
गांधी जी ने ये बोला
बोलो
था.
आप लाओ. I am for UCC.
मेरा अपना दिमाग नहीं है.
The best summation of this was done by Yogendra Yadav in an article
No,
in print.
please.
Yeah, please. You've lost me there.
No. I'll tell you
To
why.
quote
You know what?
Jerry
No,
Maguire.
please. Why
You lost
are
me
you-
at Yogendra
आगे
Yadav.
बढ़ो, let's
No,
go
no,
on to-
आगे, no, sorry.
One
no.
second.
No, but can I just say one thing?
So can I imitate?
नहीं, you
So,
can't.
okay, you
नहीं,
get that.
एक मिनट,
completely
सीरियस
over.
बात हो रही है.
हाँ, सीरियस बात हो रही है. देखो यार, डिवोर्स या जो भी ऑल सिविल लॉज हैं, at the end of the day, what perturbs me is the physical nature of damage, right? So divorce पे आप, you can go to the court. If a woman's body is physically damaged because of unequal laws and frankly pedophilia, that is unacceptable to me in this day and age.
I agree.
Period. Why should one community be exempt from Prevention of Child Marriage Act, yaar? Why?
Fair enough.
I think
Come
that's
on.
great, and I
There
think
we
it
go.
should. And I honestly think the Muslims should amend their personal law on that. There is no if or but.
नहीं पर जरूरत ही नहीं ना if UCC comes in फिर
I-
Muslim
yes,
personal
I am-
Hindu
इतना
personal
यही problem
Parsi
है
है
यही
I-
problem
I-
है
no,
कि
there's no-
All India
there is
Muslim
no-
Personal Law Board will cease to exist.
I am for that. All I'm saying is the reality is, and therefore Muslims should not oppose it, is that Muslims don't have underage marriage as much as Hindus have. That says data. India's spend data says 83% of the girls below the age of 10.
Yeah,
Hindus
देखो,
aren't
again-
opposing it.
I agree, and therefore Muslims should not. I'm agreeing. I'm on the same page.
Yes.
I am on the same page.
What's the
And
disagreement?
and I'm very angry with these so-called Muslim scholars coming on TV and polarizing it.
डिबेट ही खत्म कर दी
UCC
इससे पहले बोल देता आधा घंटा पहले
मैं पहले ही बोला
खाने-
कि
खाने
कौन
में
आ रहे
concentrate
हैं
करते।
मैं पहले ही बोला कौन आ रहे हैं
अच्छा अब
Tehseen,
listen,
you are a Shia. Okay. Let's look at Sunnis. The main difference, as I see it, between Shias and Sunnis is Shias, you're not really allowed too much by way of ijtihad. There is a guide or a spiritual leader who trains your thought so that it doesn't get this thing. Sunnis have the right to ijtihad, which is, it's almost exactly like the Protestant-Catholic divide, where each person has a right to interpret the text for himself. How are these people not real Muslims? Their interpretation of the religious text is as valid as your interpretation or anybody else's interpretation if you take ijtihad into account. Okay? So I don't think they are not Muslims. They're just inconvenient voices, but they are representative. The guys who say, kafir and nahi, Sharia
No,
is the
because
pillar
I'll tell
we
you
will
why
die
they're
on.
not. I'm not saying they're not real
My
Muslims. I have no
classmate.
right to tell anyone that. The reason I get upset with these people is they know that there's an element of polarization that is happening, especially in these TV debates. When you come on there and take these regressive stands, for example, who can argue for young girls being married or bearing children, a 9, 10, 11, just because she's hit her puberty? You cannot argue for
So
that.
also,
So these guys are doing
how
it
do
on
we know
purpose.
what Muslims think, what Hindus think? Only on the basis of TV debates.
Yeah, and
that's
the-
how we are judging.
And one of the
Like, for example, I refuse to go on the
jokers
UCC.
who
So
come.
tell me-
How do we know?
I just need a
some of these
clarification.
jokers
So the
who come.
noi-
One is a
so-
travel agent. One वो इस्लाम के स्कॉलर है नहीं, मुझे नहीं पता, वो ट्रैवल एजेंट है.
but यार, scholar तो मांग रही है, अमीर आदमी
नहीं
का
नहीं
पैसा
स्कॉलर
यार.
नहीं, स्कॉलर
वो तो ब्राह्मण है.
I go every day to Khan Market and say, Bhavati Bhiksham
नहीं,
de
नहीं,
Bhavati."
frugal
not that
Indian.
way.
ये देखो ये सब
देखो ना,
खाना
सब फ्री में खा रहा है.
अरे शाहीन बाग में
Chips दे दो.
Are you
when I went
charging
to
him?
Shaheen Bagh with him, when I went,
नहीं, ये
the
मत
people
बोलिए.
hit him.
अच्छा छोड़ना उसको
The
मार
people
गोली.
hit him out there.
Tell me something. What is the age of marriage, or that a girl at the age of puberty is can get married, written in the Quran?
Yeah, and it is.
No, is it written in the Quran, or is it part of the larger Sharia law?
It's not written in the Quran.
It's not. One second. It's not written in the Quran, is it?
It is
No,
not.
no.
It is
I
not.
don't think it's written in
The
the Quran.
age is not written.
What is written?
Puberty, na, is
They've
the
written
time
puberty,
period, huh?
yes. In the Quran.
Yes.
No,
Are
I
you
don't
sure?
think so.
Yes.
I don't think so.
I don't
I'm
think
not-
so.
I don't think so.
I don't think so. So my question is that all of this is something which has come out as part of the religious law over the years. Now, and a lot of time the Muslims use the example of the Prophet to say that, look, if the Prophet could get married to, what was his?
Aisha.
Aisha, and she was, 9 years old or something, then this is kosher.
Six.
No,
Whatever, yeah. But it's kosher, right? That's the logic which a lot of people use. Now, my point is that in history, in the past, when we are talking about 1500, 1600, 2000 years back, a lot of things would happen. 200 years back, slavery was kosher, right? People made a lot of money out of
Sati,
it.
Johar, whatever.
Sati
Yeah.
was kosher.
Yeah.
Today, you can't even think about it anymore, right? Societies evolve, civilizations evolve, and laws and social modes change. So if today what might have been perfectly valid maybe 1500, 2000 years back is not valid anymore, I don't see why people need to keep harking back to a past rather than look forward to the future. And then the thing is that while it's all very well to talk about
See, you can
looking
have
at
it
it
You're
in a
right.
very-
The Quran is silent on marriageable age.
See,
You're right.
So
You're
the
right.
marriageable age it is silent on, but as you are rightly saying, because of the antecedents of the...
Because they use the example of the
Example,
Prophet
no?
and they seek justification from that.
Look, so society has to evolve.
Yeah.
So do
That's what I
Muslims
was
have
saying.
to evolve. There is no doubt you cannot have child marriage.
There is no problem
no
in having
doubt.
a debate. That's what I'm saying. And the
But we don't
debate
know the
is not
contours of the debate.
Let's start the conversation. My only
It
thing
can
is कि हम बात भी नहीं करेंगे. Like, you had
No, who
all
said-
these lawyers, politician lawyers
Yeah,
now,
yeah,
who turn around and said that there is nothing.
It's blasphemy even to
because
talk of it.
But
uniformity.
there is talk of maturity. Now, what is maturity? When do you achieve maturity?
First of all, let's talk scientifically about maturity. When was the Quran
हम
written?
अभी तक नहीं mature हुए.
Exactly. But
Achha, now, let's move from this
no,
topic.
one second, because this is important.
That's a devious way to analyze marriage. It's very clever now.
When the Quran
Kya I'm
was written,
underage?
when the Quran was written, life
said I'm not
expectancy.
mature.
Guys, 1 second. This is important. Life expectancy was around 35 to 36. If you waited till you were 18 to 20 to get married, you would already be at the end of your life and you would not have
Shrinking,
exactly.
market
Now
of
the reality, you can't hold late antiquity and Bronze Age
Correct.
documents.
Yeah.
The context of it changes completely in the current situation. Even 200 years back, we
100
accepted.
years back.
100
yeah.
years
Our
back.
daddies and
Yeah,
nannies
yeah,
got
yeah.
married.
all got married
11-year-old
at,
and
this thing,
12-year-olds and
Check
things.
it, what
And
is
then
Rabindranath
Yeah.
they
Tagore
would
got
go to
married.
the husband's house much later,
Yeah, much
but
later.
the marriage would be contracted.
That's true.
Yeah. So we don't even need to go back to a book
Yeah.
because Hindu tradition is not through a book, right?
That's true.
So these are lived traditions.
And
Achha, now
people
let's
forget,
go-
Smita, sorry, people forget that when the Hindu code, whatever the code is
Hindu
called,
code bill.
Hindu
right?
marriage.
Hindu marriage bill or whatever, when those reforms came, and most of them came, there was very stiff resistance to it.
Yes.
From the
Yeah,
RSS.
to them.
Lot
Yes,
of-
yes.
From the RSS.
Yeah, there was resistance
Bro,
from
they
within
were
the Congress
resistance
party.
from the
yaar.
Congress party, boss.
That's true, but
So can I
RSS.
just talk, because you answered a question, before, because things are very sensitive, as you know. Unless you give proof and all that, people will take things out of context and all that stuff. So this is from answeringislam.org. The Quran, in at least one passage, presupposes that there is an age which a girl must attain before she can be considered marriageable. This is 4:6. And try orphans as regards their intelligence until they reach the age of marriage. If then you find sound judgment in them, release their property to them. So basically, note that the expression, I'm just quoting this, until they reach the age of marriage, takes it for granted that there is an age that girls have to reach before a man can marry them. Presumably, that age would be puberty, a point accepted by Muslim exposition.
When we last met, we talked about the Bharat Jodo Yatra.
Yeah.
At that time, it was going on. And since then, Congress won 2 states,
Yeah.
Himachal and
Karnataka.
Karnataka. They won, right? Do you think Bharat Jodo? At that time, we were saying we were divided. It worked, didn't work. I felt it worked.
Yeah.
I felt that the communication strategy worked.
Yeah.
So do you think, what do you guys think about the victory in Himachal and Karnataka?
I think it was a
I
big
think-
disaster by the BJP to sponsor the Bharat Jodo Yatra. It completely boomerang.
Yes.
जो
I agree.
600 crores खर्च किया है बीजेपी, ये दिस इज जो प्लीज डोंट, अब इसको निकाल के लोग कहेंगे कि
Yaar, why are you so scared?
why
if
are
you
you
know?
so scared,
डरते
यार?
क्यों इतना?
बोलने दो ना.
अच्छा चलो.
बोलो यार. India is the mother of
हिमाचल-
democracy.
हिमाचल-
अमृत काल में हमें. डरो मत.
हिमाचल-
कर्तव्य काल में है हम.
कर्तव्य काल में, डरो मत.
हिमाचल में कांग्रेस won because people like Tehseen voted for Congress going back on their promises. The new pension scheme
Old pension
and the
scheme.
old pension scheme.
This is his bugbear.
This is the problem with, educated intellectuals and professionals like Tehseen. They say something in national interest, and when they are in opposition, they take a U-turn, and then they are, left to rationalize.
Arey, but now even BJP states
yeah,
they are saying
exactly,
old
old
pension.
pension
chain.
Arey, of course, now everyone will
It's
revert
always
to
a
it.
race to the bottom.
Yes.
Yes.
And it is going to bankrupt Himachal. 86% of the tax revenue is going to go in propping up the old pensions.
Okay, what about
But Tehseen
Revdi?
is silent.
What about?
Revdi? Revdi, do you think Karnataka was because of Revdi culture? The Revdi promises?
I thi-
Firstly, Kannadigas don't know what is Revdi.
But look,
Myself-
Karnataka, I think, had everything to do with the fact that you had a completely non-charismatic Bommai and 2 extremely charismatic Congress leaders. Okay. In that equation, I don't know if it was Bharat Jodo Yatra that worked or the complete lack of color in the
Listen,
BJP
but
that
Bharat
worked.
Jodo Yatra in Karnataka was handled very well by
It was,
DK and
which is why I
Siddaramaiah.
don't know which one it was.
Okay.
I don't know what was the cause and what was the multiplier and what was the end result. But mark my words, Chhattisgarh और मध्य प्रदेश भी कांग्रेस जीतने वाला है.
So are they going to win? Did these two states, Sushant, what do you think? Did the Congress win in these two states because of OPS and new pension scheme and old pension scheme and Revdis and the lack of charismatic leaders, or was it Bharat Jodo?
Look, my own belief is that there is no election which is fought on any one issue.
Yeah.
It's multiple issues, and it's the agglomeration of all those issues which ultimately decide which party is going to win. I would also add a couple of other factors to the BJP's loss. For example, in both the states actually. In Himachal, the infighting within the BJP. Himachal is a state where 5,000, 10,000 votes can swing a seat, right? And if you have divisions, you do not handle the distribution of tickets well. When you distribute tickets, you don't handle the fallout of the angst that causes well. Then you have serious problems of dissidence, which was there in both parties, incidentally. But the BJP had problems of incumbency, but they had other problems of people undercutting their own leaders. You know, that old Congress culture is part of the BJP culture. In Karnataka, for example, and I remember, you know, you were very emphatic even at that point of time that they are probably on the back foot.
Yeah.
The charismatic leadership was certainly a factor. Bharat Jodo Yatra might have added some votes, but that was not so much because of Rahul Gandhi. It was because of the kind of mobilization which was done by the so-called charismatic leaders.
Also,
Abhijit.
Karnataka is the Congress is very strong. I
Very
mean,
strong.
there
It's
are
always
so
been- it's
many
been-
of
in
them.
fact, been
But if you
strong.
look
In fact,
at
the
the data-
BJP, in fact,
No,
the
but
BJP
if you
is
look at the
completely
data-
decimated in Karnataka.
No, no,
right
no,
now,
no.
the session is on.
The vote
They've still
share
not been
is
able to
the
appoint.
difference. Tehseen, the vote share between what BJP got last election to this is just 0.6%.
Yeah, that doesn't
That
matter.
doesn't
na.
matter.
It doesn't-
shift
no,
kya
it
hai?
doesn't-
Vote
It
share
didn't work
chodo.
like that. But it's actually that's incorrect data. But BJP is so, I'll tell you, BJP is so decimated in Karnataka that right now the session is on. They've not even now appointed an LOP.
LOP.
And part of BJP's defeat in Karnataka, and I'm saying this on camera, is Mr. Santosh, C.T. Ravi, that entire day completely sidelined the Lingayat leadership. Jagdish Shettar.
But the Congress didn't
Yeah.
appoint a chief minister or a deputy chief minister of the Lingayat
But they've done
thing.
justice. They've done justice. MB Patil got
And
a
there
very
is
heavy...
talk that the Lingayats are like, oh,
No,
okay, we made a
no,
mistake.
Caste equations.
I'll tell you.
No,
And look at this.
No,
This
please.
is a
No,
forward.
Lingayat all come.
No,
Where is
within-
development?
no,
Please,
tell
I'll
me
tell
something.
you,
Within
I'll
the
tell you.
JDS,
The insult to Jagdish Shettar, the insult to Jagdish Shettar,
What is
the
insult?
humiliation.
Ye kya
You
insult
didn't.
hai?
Why did you not give him a ticket?
Acha, yaar,
Arey,
It was
so
very
what?
simple.
This is
And
not-
Prahlad
not
Joshi
giving
campaigning
ticket is
against-
not
no,
the
no,
same
as
terrible.
insulting someone,
And
boss.
Congress has made him MLC. They are going to give justice,
Ye dekho.
and it has to be
अब
But he
given.
lost the
corruption
ticket.
बात कर रहा
But they
है.
made an MLC.
No, he lost the
Oh,
election.
Jagdish
One
Shettar
second,
got
he
corruption
lost the
allegations,
election, right?
नहीं थे.
नहीं थे
No, no,
उसमें।
hello, hello,
Congress
hello.
never accused
Oh,
Yaar,
not Jagdish Shettar. That
Oh,
the
yaar,
guy who
he-
Prime
Yaar,
Minister
how
called
does
up.
it matter for one leader के ऊपर नहीं
It's
होता
the
ये?
entire leadership that was from Yedurappa ji to Shettar
boss,
ji.
he lost the election,
to-
na.
Yeah, but then Congress.
One
did
second,
justice.
he lost the election.
Congress
He
did
lost the
justice.
election to a BJP guy. But tell me something, there was that shift in vote of the JDS.
Total.
Where was the
Lingayat
shift
vote.
come?
Lingayat came
No,
to
was it?
Congress.
There was no Lingayat vote in the
Lingayat
JDS.
vote for the first time came to
यार
Congress.
JDS का जो
Vocaliga है.
borough है,
Vocaliga भी आया और लिंगायत भी आया. Congress
See,
पर
has
कितने
वो
लगाए
DK
थे भाई?
वो DK
Congress-
अजीत कुमार.
Congress
नहीं,
has
नहीं,
25%.
नहीं, यार जो भी है
25% of the
the V's
legislature.
and the L's.
First time Lingayat vote has returned to
Who's
Congress.
the other community?
Vocaliga.
Vocaliga. ठीक है ना? Just so.
Why did you coach him?
Yeah, so what? That's
अरे-
what families do.
अरे look यार, Punjabis have a problem
And
in
we all
pronunciation. You know, if two consonants appear together, we add a vowel.
That's
Right.
why
Samart.
हाँ,
Samita.
and if there is a vowel,
Samita.
Samita.
हाँ, Samita. And if there is a vowel in between two consonants, the vowel becomes silent.
It's attended.
हाँ, तो
अच्छा
मृत्यु हो
कांग्रेस पे
जाता है।
वापस आते
अच्छा नहीं नहीं,
हैं. Are
एक
they
मिनट, मेरे को
happy
ये बताओ।
with winning Karnataka and Himachal? Why have they screwed up in Maharashtra? Why couldn't they keep the MVA together? Why did they just leave it all to Sharad Pawar?
I'm
and
very
Uddhav?
happy what's happened in Maharashtra for the Congress.
Wow.
And the Congress should seriously take my advice.
Moral
And I think-
victory.
No, it's not that. It's not that. It's not that. The Congress is now the single largest opposition party. And see these Pawars, both uncle and nephew, I have known them. I come from Pune, gateway to Western Maharashtra. I have zero faith on any of them. And Ajit Pawar in
Yeah,
his speech
you know,
said,
this is
in
just
his speech said, आपको
Last
चाहिए आपको
podcast you
चाहिए
were
वैसे
singing
भक्ति
pains
अगर-
of Sharad Pawar.
I never saying कब
Oh,
निकालो
अरे,
podcast
निकालो podcast.
अगर-
निकालो podcast.
Bet you तहसीन पूना वाला ने बोला था
कुछ
कि
नहीं,
शरद
I
पवार
always
मेरे
say-
अंकल की तरह
I
है,
have
वो मेरे
always-
दूसरे पिताजी की
मेरे
तरह
relative
है,
है।
मैं उनके
मैंने कुछ
उनके
नहीं
गोद में बैठ के
मैंने ऐसा
वाला
कुछ कभी
पोसा
नहीं
हुआ
बोला
है।
है मैंने कभी अपनी
हद
जिंदगी
हो
में
गई,
ऐसे नहीं बोला
भक्ति देख रही है ना,
नहीं,
हद हो गई।
मैंने कभी ऐसे नहीं कहा
अगर
In
भक्ति
fact,
देख
I've
रही है तो
always-
यहाँ देखो।
नहीं, I've always
भक्ति
said
is here.
I've
Tehseen,
always said
Tehseen,
I have
you
always
said-
I
you
have
said
always
you
said
grew up on
that the
Sharad
only
Pawar's lap.
person
And
what
You said
nonsense.
you grew up on Sharad Pawar's
Why are you
lap.
giving me such an unhappy childhood?
I have played with dolls with Supriya.
I played with dolls with Supriya. I played with
This
Supriya's
is
Barbie dolls.
blasphemy.
I have been a metrosexual since then.
I am not a part of this conversation. I am not a part of this conversation. Do you guys want me to win Pune or you all want me to lose Pune?
He's standing
We
for
don't
election
care,
now.
you are
क्या बात
losing
कर
your
रहे हो?
friend.
मैं तो
Yeah, it's
लड़ूगा
fine.
Really?
अब तो मैं लड़ूगा गया अजीत पवार उधर
चलो हम सब आज जाके इसके लिए कैंपेन करेंगे
इसीलिए
यार।
ये
मेरा
इतना खुश
नोटा
हो रहा है
का
कि
मेरा
मेरे को
नोटा
टिकट
का
मिल
वो है वो
टिकट तो मुझे
तुड़वा
वैसे ही
रहा है।
मिलेगी
Honestly.
You know, Smita ji, I think I've told you also. If I would ever contest from Pune, I had no fear of the BJP. BJP can't defeat Congress. The person who would weaken Congress is Ajit Pawar. And you know, I'll tell you, Delhi media now is today seeing these Ajit Pawar games and all. I have seen this from 2007, 2008.
तो ये अजीत पवार games क्या? What about शरद पवार
Even
games?
he, I don't trust either of them.
So now, 1 minute. So you
Crazy.
think you don't trust them? Okay, most people are saying this that nobody trusts Sharad Pawar. So Ajit Pawar and most importantly Praful Patel going
something
without
you
Sharad
mentioned.
Pawar
Of
knowing
Of
it.
course, and we spoke that on TV, both
yeah,
of us, and I
One
agree with you.
question.
Ek second,
No, not allowed.
Please,
Overruled.
please,
Overruled.
please,
By
please.
virtue of my age.
Okay.
Overruled. Younger.
I give it to your-
younger.
I
younger.
give it to your
You know,
seniority.
when you talked about charismatic leader won this thing, do you agree with that? That Congress had more charismatic leader, that's why it was part of the victory of Karnataka compared to BJP. You agree with that?
Yeah, charismatic
Yes,
leadership.
no bolo, yaar, ab
of
bahut
course,
time
charismatic
nahi.
leadership and
So,
also the central leadership.
हाँ, वो ठीक
contributed.
है charismatic leader charisma had to play a
Central
role
leadership
ना?
तो हो गया
अरे,
ना, भक्ति तो यही हो रही है।
Where is he going? Where is he going on
So you,
charisma?
so you
Priyanka.
agree that Yogi is more charismatic than Priyanka Gandhi?
Priyanka, unfortunately, didn't have the organization in UP, and that's a waste. I've agreed.
So
I said that.
you need an
Of
organization
course, you need an
to
organization.
appear.
Of course, you need
have
an
charisma
organization.
here. So what
कैसे
organization
बात
does
करूं?
Sushant have? He's a very charismatic figure.
अरे वो चुनाव लड़ रहा है क्या?
Seriously.
वो चुनाव लड़ रहा है क्या?
Yeah.
स्टेट चुनाव
See,
लड़ रहा है? वो
because
पंजाब
of
में
my
थोड़ी जीतेगा।
charisma, I've decided to fight against Modi in Varanasi next time.
Yeah,
And we will- we
are
will-
you actually going to do it?
Are you- will you do
kidding me? I will do it just to prove the
झल्ला
fact that
है, पागल नहीं
sometimes.
अच्छा.
दिल्ली केजरीवाल तो गया था लड़ने.
हाँ, केजरीवाल तो गया था.
केजरीवाल ने तो दावा भी किया था कि मैं जीत जाऊंगा।
कैंपेन फॉर केजरीवाल
I think so, possibly.
Okay, let's get on to Aam Aadmi Party now. Okay.
Okay.
But can I
Chup, chup
sincerely
bolo.
ask a
Bang,
question? No, one
हाँ,
second.
हाँ.
If each one of you were to stand for elections, I want the other people to say how many votes you would get. So if Smita were to stand for elections, can I go around and say how many votes she would get? Abhijit starting.
Anand in one of the debates was talking about what works and what didn't work. If development works, why didn't it work in Karnataka? Everybody was making money, everybody is doing well. Then why didn't it work in Karnataka? Does only fear work?
Fear doesn't
As an
work.
election.
Fear doesn't work.
And freebies.
No,
Free,
freebies is
no,
is
fear does
overrated.
work. Fear does work.
It's not the only thing that works. But Karnataka is not some of the other places in our country that fear would work the way it does work.
What do you
Number
mean by
one,
fear?
By fear in the sense your rights will
ये
go
लोग
away,
आएंगे
they will
तो
take away
you
your
know
rights.
अच्छा, मतलब
UCC
fear
आएगा
against the other
हाँ,
person.
yeah,
Nandini.
against
So
Nandini
Local.
Amul
So,
will take
हाँ,
over.
let me put it this way.
Have you noticed the
Amazing.
whole Nandini debate has
Died.
But
it's
who-
over.
But it was started by the Honorable Home Minister.
How?
He started it.
Please,
No.
for
How?
heaven's
Will I give you
sake.
date and data?
ये
Date and
इतना
data.
By
disinformation
God.
फैलाता है
और
ना
data.
ये राहुल का एडवाइजर है ये.
Date or data? नहीं मैंने
not
कर्नाटक और
surprised.
हिमाचल में एडवाइस किया वो जीते.
मिस्टर वाड्रा का एडवाइजर है ये.
वो कर्नाटका में एडवाइस किया और वो जीते.
he's the richest person in India.
Who?
Robert Vadra.
Is he? I
asking
don't know. I don't know. But let's come to
He
this.
suddenly got
I don't know.
So tell me,
मैं
does
सोच रहा हूँ.
fear
No, no, no.
work? Do you
No,
think?
no.
Look, fear
Fear
works
doesn't work.
in many countries. It works. In America, it's used hell of a lot. In India also, it used कि ये लोग आएंगे, संविधान खत्म हो जाएगा, मीडिया खत्म हो जाएगा, जुडिशरी खत्म हो जाएगी, ED will be on everybody. मतलब this fear factor which is being put in everybody's head that if BJP comes back to power, it's going to be.
I don't think that holds
Can
true
I
for
put
Indian
in a
elections.
spanner in the works here with one question? Has Congress won any state that it already held?
It might this
No,
time.
it will. It will in Madhya Pradesh. and
Yeah,
Chhattisgarh.
Himachal.
didn't.
Chhattisgarh it
BJP
will.
was.
BJP.
Well, when it will in,
Has it in the last 10 years?
in the
Abhi
last
tak
10
nahi.
years,
No.
10 years,
No.
it did not repeat anything. But
So
it will win.
here is my
Madhya-
theory. It is much easier for BJP to lose when it's already holding on to a
So,
state.
but he's saying
so
that
anti-incumbency is definitely a factor.
कि Rajasthan में Congress is coming back and
No, no, no.
Chhattisgarh.
No.
Chhattisgarh and
Rajasthan
Madhya
mein nahi,
Pradesh.
Rajasthan
And
mein they
Madhya
are going to
Pradesh
be
So
150 plus.
Chhattisgarh then.
Sachin
Because in
Pilot
Madhya-
is the next
because
chief
in Madhya
minister.
Pradesh,
Yeah.
I think
should.
Shivraj Singh Chauhan has lost the
Great.
plot.
या कहने के बाद should कह
He
रहा है
doesn't.
और he would.
He doesn't find the same resonance anymore.
Look, they lost
Or
the last
people
election.
are just bored.
Look,
that-
BJP lost the last election. They brought it back through manipulation. This time they're definitely going to lose it even bigger. Also because the Congress is consolidated under Kamal Nath. Okay, Chhattisgarh mein who is the leader of the opposition? मेरे को बता. Does
Okay,
anybody know?
Raman Singh has disappeared.
Yeah.
Raman Singh's totally disappeared.
But you know this fear thing, Smitaji, I agree because the BJP did come to power on fear. It spread the fear that Muslims population will
my
overtake Hindu
God.
population. The country's constitution would change towards it. There's
Unbelievable.
bias
Has
towards
it-
Forget about
Has it
corruption.
happened?
Forget about
9
2G.
years हो गए. एक minute.
What
9
fear?
years हो गए. Has it happened?
Yeah.
No, the BJP spread that fear. That's
No,
now.
9
BJP
years
should be
हो गए.
exposed. BJP
Congress
should be
said
exposed
that
on
if
it.
BJP comes to power, this is what is going to happen. Did it happen?
No, but did the Muslim population also overtake the Hindu population? It didn't. So there is a legitimate answer there. I'm disagreeing with your question. In fact, I'm the only one supporting your question. These scholars disagree.
Who
I'm
said
only supporting.
You
Muslims are
can't
going to
support a
overtake
question,
the-
you can answer a
Wait,
question.
Who said this?
Look at the Whisper campaign in your society,
Whisper
RWA,
campaign.
WhatsApp groups.
There
Who runs
was-
them?
there is one election which has been won purely on fear.
Which is?
1980.
84.
Okay, so
that
don't-
I agree with. That
don't-
I
don't-
actually-
don't say-
And that was a terrible time for our country.
No, no,
But
it
just
might
because
have
that
been-
was terrible,
and it was a
does not
terrible
justify
time.
No,
it now.
Sushant, do you remember
It
there
was
was
a
also
fear.
that there was
I
also
think
that
sympathy,
campaign
not
of
fear.
Fear and
Rajiv
sympathy
Gandhi with scorpions and all that. That
Taxi
was
driver
also
ad.
And
fear.
a Sikh
Taxi
man,
driver
would you
ad.
Yeah.
trust this man to...
Yeah. So that was also a fear campaign.
It was a pure fear
So,
campaign.
do you think that 2024 election there will be a fear campaign against Modi,
Yeah,
Shah,
it's
and
actually
Yogi?
too early to talk about 2024 campaign.
Okay, we'll
Abhi to- it's-
reconvene before that.
Almost what 10 months left.
It's a
for
brilliant
that.
strategy for Sushant to have this whole.
हाँ मतलब ये अभी देखो एक
खाना
दिसंबर
अभी-
में एक होगा
हाँ।
फिर एक जस्ट बिफोर द
I think
इलेक्शन
we
ये
should have
करेंगे
3-4
हमारे साथ
podcast
Before
खाना अलग अलग लाके
हाँ।
तब 24 तसल्ली से डिस्कस
gourmet.
बिल्कुल
It's
The
too early
gourmet.
now.
We have
But
we have gourmet
irrespective of whether it is early or not, I want to announce my candidacy in Varanasi against Modi ji.
Okay.
घर घर अभिजीत.
Yeah.
घर घर अभिजीत घर घर टिप टिप बरसा पानी. My
You're going to dance.
Means in
He
the,
was
in
going
the
to
houses
dance
that Modi
today.
ji is provided.
You were supposed
Abhijit
to
will
wear
burst out.
Ilhan ka
Yeah.
outfit.
I told you
and
what happened with my tailor.
Modi
no?
And
ji
you were
must be
supposed to
quivering
dance
in his
tip-tip.
this
Yeah.
thing.
When
आपको
Abhijit is
his feet
contesting.
must be
Achha, but do you
quaking.
think Modi ji is going to go back to Varanasi and fight from there?
Or Odisha.
It's a no-brainer.
Where is Rahul Gandhi
Tamil
going to
Nadu.
go?
Tamil Nadu. He's going to contest from Tamil Nadu.
Also.
Yes,
Modi
yes,
ji.
Kashi too. Yeah,
I think the
Really?
Mahadev will be
Oh, that Tamil
contesting in
Sangam
Tamil
and
Nadu.
all that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh.
Only you can get away
Really?
doing that. None of us
Hey,
can
what
get
you're
away
telling,
doing that.
man?
आजकल
North
तो
Indian fella turned
आजकल
into
तो
South
शहजाद
Indian
भी
like
वो
this and
मुंडू
that.
पहन के घूम के आए आजकल. हाँ भाई.
उसको तो राज्यसभा देके पक्का.
जहाँ से
किसको?
भी है.
No, but is
शहजाद
he
को
going to fight from 2 seats? Modi.
he might.
Like
Yeah,
he did in
sure.
2014.
Yeah.
with,
No,
both
where is
Ahmedabad
Rahul
and
Gandhi
this
going to
one.
fight? Wayanad only.
अगर वो कोर्ट ने ओवरटर्न किया तो ना कोर्ट ने किया ही नहीं तो.
Oh.
Otherwise, he stays
Moral
disqualified.
victory.
Moral victory.
Okay.
But I think
Where
So
is-
Rai Bareli is gone because Mrs. Sonia Gandhi said that she's not contesting Rai Bareli.
Yeah, them saying, see, they are exalted human beings. Them saying हम नहीं करेंगे doesn't mean कि नहीं करेंगे. हो सकता है फिर से कर लें, क्या पता.
I doubt
No,
it.
but why is Rai Bareli gone? If she doesn't contest, the daughter can.
vote कौन करेगा boss?
Huh?
No, Rai Bareli is a very difficult vote. UP is very difficult. So,
But wherever Rahul fights, Smriti Irani will go there and fight.
all the best. She should. She's a success
I don't think
story
she'll
and
go to
should. All the
Wayanad.
best.
Yeah.
She actually went to Wayanad
No,
6
but-
months ago.
No, but listen, no, but I look to be fair to her, and I really admire her because she's one of the most clear-headed ministers.
Yeah.
Every department she's taken charge of, she's not been very popular because she's kicked
They've
ass.
gone after her.
Thank
They're
you.
so bitter against them.
yeah.
No,
Anybody,
and
Sharmila.
she
Yeah.
doesn't take.
You know?
She doesn't take. She
doesn't take any prisoners.
She
That's
doesn't
true.
take prisoners, and she is somebody who doesn't suffer fools easily.
Exactly.
But you know, her going to Wayanad, there's a saying in Kannada, "Bai kol hakudu," which means like jaan ke pangha lena.
हाँ, she did.
You know,
She did it to
her
Needle.
Going to,
He
her
said
going
so
to
also.
Wayanad.
But look, she is extremely feisty. She is very brave. And when she lost the first Amethi election in 2004,
yeah.
look at 2014. Just look at the way she continued to nurse the constituency for 5 years.
Yeah.
How many politicians do this here?
Also, you know, I
even
covered
now,
that election.
every weekend she's on that flight going to.
She never went talking about Tulsi.
Amethi.
Pehli baat to in Amethi nobody watches
Saas Bhi Bahu.
Saas Bhi Kabhi Bahu Thi.
Really?
And yeah, it was not a.
Bahu unko pata
It was
hai.
more
There
of
was
a,
no,
it was,
there
it
was no
was
cable
more of an
TV,
urban
right?
kind of a
It's,
thing.
no, it's correct.
Cable TV urban.
The serial was
Electricity
urban,
nahi thi pehle
and wahan pe it was so backward. And then muscle memory of voting for the Gandhi Parivar, you know. So pushed, going on generation after generation voting for the Gandhis. They didn't know who she was. But all credit to her, she never went about saying, oh, I'm a TV star. You know, it's like when Hema Malini comes, you know there's a star who has come. This lady did not campaign as a television person, and she still doesn't campaign with that TV thing or, of her being a performer or anything like that.
Talk in the voice of Hema Malini. You do it better than Hema Malini.
Nahi. She's so amazing. She's so gorgeous. You know, somebody so
She and
beautiful.
Rekha.
Huh?
Rekha.
Haan, Rekha, of course.
Rekha was on the cover of some magazine.
Vogue magazine. My goodness, man.
Can I ask
Kya
you
hai, kya
what
wo?
might be
But
ageless
you
now.
are the science person. Will you please tell me कैसे defy कर रही है science को?
Reverse aging, which I am doing. Reverse aging. I'm reverse aging.
You are no Rekha. Please.
Of course I'm no Rekha. I don't look like Rekha.
Rekha.
It is reverse aging.
Other than
I
the
think
waxing.
I would
I
have
don't
to
wax, I
take
shave.
blood samples of this and find out the telomeres, what is happening.
My goodness, she's stunning.
she's-
But even Hema
She must be
Malini.
85?
एक बार ना
Even
हम-
Hema
No,
Malini, yeah.
85.
Well,
Yes,
Amitabh
70.
is...
She'll be
No,
in
no, no, no.
mid-70s.
She's
No,
in her
70s,
70s.
bro.
She'll be in
65.
mid-70s.
But Hema Malini ka मेरे को एक I love this story which I have to always say this, that we were in parliament for some delegation had come and हम journos थे, and there was all the parliamentarians were sitting on one long table and we tuch pranis were sitting on another table, and then Hema Malini walks in late. She's also a member of parliament. She walks in, and I kid you not, every member of parliament just looks at her and then follows her with that gaze till she goes and sits, and she knows it, right? She also very regally goes. She goes like that. Oh my God. I mean, and then there was this very important minister. I just couldn't resist it. He's somebody who has a poker face all the time. I just went and patted it. I said, "वो VIP इस तरफ है, उस तरफ है." I just couldn't resist it, because she's so gorgeous even now.
Yeah.
But
And she knows she's a star.
do you remember that when that interview she did with a journalist, when that journalist asked him कि अगर आप मथुरा से हार जाएंगे तो आप क्या करेंगे? वापस चली जाऊंगी. No, मैं यहाँ सेवा में लगी रहूंगी. No. I will go back. That is it. Finished. But yeah, I wonder whether she'll again get a ticket to stand from Mathura. She will.
I believe they're changing.
She does a lot,
I believe
right?
they're changing 30% of the MPs.
Sunny
this time.
Deol shouldn't get it.
हाँ,
Banda
he
has not done anything, never gone back. Though I'm a big fan of
Dhai Kilo Ka
Dhai
Haath.
Kilo Ka
But to
Haath.
be honest with you, if you look at all the Bollywood or film industry people who've
Or
entered
cricketers.
politics,
Or
no, just the film stars, other than I would say Sunil Dutt,
Vinod Khanna.
he did a lot.
Vinod Khanna, Gurdaspur, yeah.
Yeah, he was very popular.
And that's why this guy
He
still
was
wins from
unbeatable.
Gurdaspur.
BJP is present in Gurdaspur because Vinod Khanna.
Because
Yeah.
Dharmendra, I don't think Dharmendra has done
Oh
much.
no, he
Why
went
though?
once to his constituency.
That's
Boy,
enough.
Sunny Deol also did nothing, right? And that's the goodwill of how many people are going to win on, the laurels of the earlier generation. Bus. And it's again
So
the
South
whole...
is very different, Smita. South, you have the film stars.
No,
who-
but those film stars are also very political, in terms of
Animals,
becoming
yeah.
film stars. Out here,
political animals.
Yeah,
also.
out here,
अच्छा,
Branson is
South
losing
की बात चल रही है. What is KCR's game?
मुझे क्या पता?
What
कौन
is-
है
Now he's got
What
beat.
is... मैनू की बताओ.
Typical Punjabi looking down on
No,
South
it's
India.
very clever,
मेरे को
no?
क्या
This,
लेना देना यार?
to think that I have a Bharat in my dreams, not just Telangana.
Delusions तो सबकी
अभी
है।
तो Telangana बना ही है. Like, you know, you've just started with your state, but he has this dreams of
BRS.
becoming, yeah. And
It's
he's
like
not part
parota
of,
is like barota. वो B add कर दिया उसमें.
he's not part of the opposition unity. So let's get on the opposition unity.
Look, you tell me one businessman from Telangana who has anything bad to say about KCR. Without exception, I know people who are hardcore Hindutvavadis and BJP types who sing his praises, that this is a man who goes over and above the call of duty
Even
to,
Owaisi does.
to help
No one said bad
Telangana
about
businesses.
Chandrababu Naidu also when he was United.
No,
Andhra Pradesh ka
Chandrababu
chief
Naidu
minister.
people did not like because apparently
no,
he was
the
very
businessmen loved him when he was United
No,
Andhra
no,
How
Pradesh ka
many
chief
Bengal
minister.
businessmen say anything
bad
against
about Mamta?
Mamta?
That is
Nobody.
true. Abhijit, sorry.
in
The
private
businessmen are, I
And I'm
guess,
telling
not
you,
barometer.
the day the BJP loses in 2024, all these businessmen who sing praises.
देख
will
भाई
all-
2024 में ना तू 2024 की बात ही भूल जा. You should start thinking of 2034 because तब तक तेरी पार्टी आने वाली नहीं है. मोदी 2034 तक है.
You
जाऊंगा
mean to say
Parliament.
again they will lose an election with Rahul Gandhi at the helm? One more election.
But he's not at
No,
the
but this time he
He's
won't.
not
be,
Ali
no?
Helm. No?
Of course he's at the helm. Who?
No.
Kharge ji is at the helm.
He
Kharge
might
ji
go
is
to
the
jail.
leader of the Congress.
Right. Kharge ji is
Rahul
at the
might
helm.
be in jail when, by the time 2024 happens.
There
You
will be
are
a
also-
sweep for Congress.
Acha,
Because Rahul is in jail.
Because
Anand, yeah,
Rahul,
आपकी
because
उम्मीद
of
हो
the
सकती
sympathy,
है।
the people
This
of
is
India
what-
will sympathize
you know-
against this. Against
Wow.
the
This
tyranny
is
in our
what
country.
उम्मीद है।
Against
So,
the tyranny.
see, when
Against
Rahul
the
says-
tyranny.
fear factor.
Against
The
the
tyranny. This is not contempt.
The
I ask
BJP
you.
How is this contempt?
मुझ पे केस लगाते हो contempt of court का. ये tyranny कह रहा है.
हाँ,
The
लगाइए,
BJP,
लगाइए.
the
Anand will come to defend
BJP
me.
is such a nepotistic party. They will never send their biggest vote getter to jail. Mark my words.
Nepotistic कैसे यार इसमें?
Because Rahul Gandhi gets them votes. How can they send their star?
Yeah, that
campaigner
is
to
true.
jail?
They must be doing Aarti of Rahul Gandhi every day. That is true.
But I think the BJP, whatever damage it would cause to Rahul Gandhi, it has done. Now Rahul Gandhi's perception amongst the common man has changed. We may sit here in
तूने
this
सर्वे
studio.
किया है?
मैं जिन लोगों से बात करता हूँ, people who are hardcore BJP people, and I meet thousands of people.
मत करो
a
यार,
week,
don't be
thousands.
mean to him, हाँ.
No, no, he's not being mean. He's just laughing because he has no counter. So he laughs to create noise. It's sound effect. But the point is,
He asked a serious question.
And that's-
On
and I'm
what
giving a
basis
serious-
are you saying?
thousands of people meet me every week.
They are winning elections तो फिर
See,
हाँ ना.
कांग्रेस वाले जो है ना, इनका ये बहुत पुराना वतीरा है.
कि
छोड़ दो संभाल लेंगे पार्टनर. तो छोड़ दिया.
छोड़ दिया.
अच्छा मैं अच्छा you how many do you meet every week?
thousands,
thousands.
I meet
thousands.
lakhs of people every week.
Exactly. And,
Do
today-
me
and-
wrong.
and the fact that you discuss Rahul Gandhi shows how important he is. We're on the same page.
I
Shake hands
discuss
on
many
that.
things, yeah.
Shake hands on this. We're on the same page.
But I'll be honest about one thing. Honestly, 2 years, 3 years ago, I thought Priyanka is going to be the next whatever. She is just dissolved, yeah. What happened there? What happened there?
I think Priyanka took you to victory in Himachal and Karnataka. And
Priyanka took you to victory in
Yes,
Karnataka.
I'm, if you allow me.
Just now you said
the
that
state leadership. Allow me to finish.
that the charismatic leadership of
and I'm
DK
not
and
moving away.
Siddaramaiah.
Allow me. The Congress has discovered.
Belt निकाल रहा है अपनी सुषमा.
निकालने दो.
यार मुझे
The
एक
Congress.
चीज-
एक
अच्छा-
सेकंड खत्म करने दो फिर आप पूछो.
एक सवाल है.
हाँ, बिल्कुल पूछो. The Congress has discovered a formula to win state elections. I'm not saying central elections, I'm saying state elections.
Yeah, go back on your promises.
That formula is a strong state leadership, united state leadership, resources, and the tadka and the tadka, the weight and the cream of the high
Yeah,
command
don't
that
say
comes in.
tadka. It'll remind me of Subramania Swami ka tadka.
No. I mean,
Actually, how do you spell tadka in English? Can you please say it?
I don't know. TADK?
हाँ, without the A between the D and the K.
No.
So,
No.
Yeah.
With the icing of the cake of the central leadership. And if you see,
So
the
Tadka
Prime Minister
has
not
helped
been-
Congress.
The Prime Minister has not been able to attack Priyanka. He's not been able to retort
Yeah.
to her. He's not done that. And I think
He doesn't need to.
I think the Prime Minister made a mistake in West Bengal when he went after Mamta ji. So I think the Prime Minister has been defensive
That's
on how to
overhyped.
tackle Priyanka. I do feel that. It's my opinion. But I do feel that. But that
But
cannot
she's
happen without a
not
straight...
got down to
Karnataka,
real politics in the sense of standing for elections.
many rallies
If
did
she
she
does
address in
that,
Karnataka?
then there is all
as
gloves
many as the
off.
Prime Minister and wherever she and
Now,
the Prime Minister...
this is his
I think-
as many as the Prime Minister.
I tell you,
He's the Prime Minister.
I had a data. She's, I think, one or two more, but everywhere she and the Prime Minister had a rally, the Congress won. I know this for a fact because the Karnataka leaders told me.
Okay, that is because of Priyanka Gandhi.
No, I'm
then.
not saying that is only because of Priyanka. I would be stupid to say that. I'm saying that's a factor that is helping the Congress. It's bringing that little additional vote. It's bringing in that media factor. For example, Priyanka gets media and she knows how to deal with media much better.
Huh.
And she has a pleasant thing going for her. She'll be pleasant. She'll get the crowd. She'll pull somebody's hand. She'll take them along. She'll make that.
But
That is
Rahul
true.
Gandhi was also doing
Wires,
that. No?
Scroll, News Laundry.
No.
Yeah,
See,
she's
even
able to
by Bharat,
attract.
so I'll tell you, even
No,
by Bharat
even
Jodo.
Bharat Jodo,
Well, why it's
every
a success?
morning
Yeah.
Rahul Gandhi had a nice
Yeah.
picture. See, this morning also, he's got this
The
that
farmer
he's sitting
thing.
with the farmers and he's paddy cultivation, going and sowing.
See, I'll tell
so
you one
all
thing
that
about
is
media.
happening.
The media will only cover you if there's action. See, why is Bharat Jodo successful? 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock in the morning, you have something happening. Media needs action. Smiraji, you're the expert
Yeah.
here.
He
He's
was.
going
I,
to the
I think
toilet.
Jairam
You have-
Ramesh had done the right thing in
What
this.
is media? What is social media? Why will people look into our podcast? We are having fun. There is action happening.
Yeah.
If you don't do that, you're boring having a
Achha, let's get to opposition unity. Forget the Gandhis. Now let's get to
यहाँ
opposition.
unity नहीं हो रही है.
हाँ, opposition unity में मेरे को बताओ that what is the allergy that the Congress has to Aam Aadmi Party?
I'll tell you.
One thing, yes, which you have mentioned several debates, which is that every time Congress ceded space, Aam Aadmi Party came in. But अब
Not
जब
only Aam
unity,
Aadmi Party, every
everybody,
single
yeah,
election.
Sharad Pawar,
regional party, including Sharad
Mamta,
Pawar.
everybody came in, right? But now, when there is just 10 months left for elections, why can't they, put their differences out and get together? What is the problem?
That differences can be put aside if the Aam Aadmi Party is going to be reasonable. It's not reasonable. Punjab BJP does
What
not...
reasonable? They're only saying that वो ordinance के ऊपर तुम कुछ करो, बोलो.
तो जब ऑर्डिनेंस आएगा पार्लियामेंट में तब देखिएगा ना.
So they are saying 10 days before that you say, na?
तो देखिएगा
You
तो
have
आने
no
दो.
comment to make about the ordinance?
I'm coming. 1 second to that. I'm coming to that. Just
Shocking.
hold on.
I'm shocked.
No.
Crazy.
Hold on.
Such an
The
assault on
first let
democracy
me
and-
first let
पूरा
me
पॉलिटिशियन बना हुआ है ये.
अरे
ये
बोल-
अब दोस्त नहीं है, ये कभी भी छुरा भोग सकता है.
तुम मेरे बारे में ऐसे कहते हो आनंद.
तू वो
यही
नहीं
हमारी
रहा.
दोस्ती.
तहसीन.
यही हमारी दोस्ती रह
वो
गई.
नहीं रहा दोस्त.
Very
तो
disappointing.
यही-
Tehseen.
Very disappointing.
यही रह गया.
Honest.
आनंद,
बहुत
यही
नहीं रहा.
बस
तुम-
ये
तुमसे-
तुमने मेरे बारे में सोचा.
तहसीन,
जा
तुमसे
अपनी
ये
जिंदगी
उम्मीद
जी.
नहीं थी
हाँ,
हमारी.
जा अपनी जिंदगी जी ले.
Well done.
जा.
सुशांत ये तुमने मेरे बारे में सोचा.
मैंने तो कुछ नहीं सोचा
Don't
तुम्हारे
worry,
बारे में,
Tehseen.
लेकिन
सुशांत is busy.
Under your
Yes.
dynamic leadership, I will vote for
मेरे-
Rahul
मेरे-
ji and Priyanka ji.
मेरा staple food यहाँ पर पड़ा
Just
हुआ
vote
है,
for
so
me.
I'm very happy.
अब ये वोटिंग पे उतर आया
Just vote
बेचारा.
for me in Pune.
अभी he was standing for election, अब कह रहा है मैं
हाँ,
वोट
अब वोट करेगा.
अरे मैं अपने कंस्टिट्यूएंसी पे वोट इसको दूंगा और जिस कंस्टिट्यूएंसी में खड़ा हो रहा हूँ उसमें मैं अपने लिए वोट कैनवस
तेरी
करूंगा ना.
constituency
तेरी
में तो है ही
कौन
नहीं.
वाराणसी है.
See, now
Varanasi.
Congress has
No,
become anti-Pawar, right?
No,
Congress
hasn't
is
become.
anti-Kejriwal. Where is the unity?
Wait. With
They were
Kejriwal.
Trojan horses, yeah, in that
No.
opposition
This
unity meet.
Kejriwal thing.
Mamta
I'll
is
tell
not
you,
with them.
Mamta ji
Mamta
thing.
is not with them.
No. Kejriwal. No.
KCR is not with
You've got
them.
that wrong. You've got the Mamta thing wrong. But let me come to the Kejriwal thing. Punjab, there exists no BJP. Now, Delhi, if you help Aam Aadmi Party, Congress is not going to benefit Aam Aadmi Party. But by giving that space, you're losing Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, Chhattisgarh. They should stay out of it. Then you can talk about a unity. They want to enter Madhya
कौन सा
Pradesh.
stay out
They
यार?
are stay-
नोटा
they are
कौन
coming
से
in
ज्यादा
Madhya
वोट
Pradesh.
मिलेगा?
वो आ रहे-
As
तो
I
क्यों
understood
नोटा
it,
gets more
as
vote. नोटा भी
I
किसके वोट है ना?
understood it-
कांग्रेस के वोट है ना?
नहीं as I understood
should
it,
be
they
out.
said Delhi और पंजाब हमारे को छोड़ दो बाकी सब तुम्हारा है.
तो पंजाब.
Yeah.
So one
That
second.
was what they said.
Even
Why they do
Haryana, they're
rallies
willing
in
to give
Madhya
it up,
Pradesh?
no?
They plan rallies in Madhya Pradesh.
So that was up for negotiation.
What
आप
negotiation?
हमको दिल्ली और पंजाब हमारे
How
को छोड़
does-
दो
how
बाकी
does-
सब
how-
हम हमारे को
If
तुम्हारे को
Congress
छोड़
helps
देंगे.
them in
If the
Punjab,
Aam
Congress
Aadmi-
gets over. There is
No,
no,
no, one
BJP in
second.
Punjab.
You want-
The only discussion is Delhi.
But boss,
You
the
can
Congress
discuss
is
Delhi.
finished.
यार,
in
if
Punjab.
one एक minute.
And as
If
for West
Aam
Bengal,
Aadmi Party wants to hold a rally in Madhya Pradesh, where is it written that they can't?
अरे तो
एक मिनट
करो।
सुन तो ले यार. भाई अभी मैं यूनिटी की बात कर रहा हूँ. If I'm talking about unity, I will hold my rally. I'll marshal my support, and when the time comes for election, I will say, okay, fine. Because of opposition unity, I am transferring my vote to Tehseen. Okay, 1 second. Theoretically, okay. Practically, to expect any party to cede ground to the other party is a mug's game. It's not going to happen. Politics doesn't. Only the Congress party is magnanimous enough to keep ceding ground.
So it kept ceding. It should stop now. And
But
that is what
the
I'm telling
problem
them.
with the Congress party is in Delhi, what is your leadership today? You don't have a leadership.
I don't want
You
to
have
make personal
nobody, just
comments
like the
about the
BJP
Delhi
doesn't
leadership. But I agree. So Delhi is the only place to talk. That also helps the Aam Aadmi Party versus the BJP. Doesn't help the Congress. There is nothing to talk on Punjab and there is nothing to
So
talk
is the
anywhere
unity
else.
going to happen?
Of course it will happen.
Nahi hoga.
It's done. 90% of it is done. 10%
Who's
is
leading
left.
the talks? Sharad Pawar?
No, whoever's leading the talks, 90% is
No,
sorted.
whoever nahi, because
90%
that's just
is
the...
sorted.
वो
We
जब
need
जब
to-
100% हो
You're not
जाएगा तब वो बताएगा
मतलब
कि
Lalu
नहीं है।
Yadav is
90%
the JP? Lalu Yadav is the Jaiprakash Narayan?
वो हो जाएगा.
नहीं हो जाएगा
मैं
कोई
बोलता हूँ.
फॉर्मूला तो ना
मैं
Is
formula
Lalu
बोलता हूँ.
corrupt? Yes or no?
Laluji, of course, he's been convicted. You can't go against the courts.
Lalu ji is corrupt.
You can't go
Yes
against
or
the
no?
courts. You
Yes or
can't
no
go against the
question?
courts.
Yes or no question?
I disagree with the court's judgment, but it's the court's judgment.
How can you do
I
this?
disagree.
यार,
Of course,
इसके
I
चरण
disagree.
इसके चरण लाओ यार.
Of course I disagree.
Okay, you are,
But
okay. So please, okay, you might disagree. I'm just asking you.
But I respect it.
Can I understand this business acumen which the Lalu Yadav family has for the kind of wealth they've generated over the last 20 years legally?
That also,
because they're not.
that case also is such a fake case on Tejaswi.
I'm asking you a
मैं
simple.
बता रहा हूँ उसका जवाब दे रहा
यार वो
हूँ.
पैसा कहाँ से आया?
कौन सा पैसा है?
कोई पैसा नहीं है उनके
वो
पास.
ईडी बोलते रहती है पैसा है सीबीआई. मुझे बताओ 100 करोड़ में जमीन बेचकर दिखाओ ना. बेचे ना 100 करोड़ की जमीन.
सिसोदिया के पास 52 करोड़ कैसे आए?
किसने बोला आपको?
कल
किसने बोला? बोला किसने?
They have
वो
attached-
ईडी ये अटैच किया वो
CBI
कार्ति
has
चिदम्बरम का कुछ
अब
टेनिस
you know
कोर्ट
that
अटैच
this is-
rate of CBI.
तहसीन पता है क्या आर्ग्यूमेंट कर रहा है?
पता है ना?
सीबीआई ईडी
68%.
इनकम टैक्स की
Yeah, 70%
68
Yeah,
69
70%
68
commission
69
rate. When they attach 52 crores, ऐसे नहीं किसी ने IOU लिख दिया था 52 crores वो पेपर अटैच
But
आप मुझे
Anand,
बताओ,
you
this-
remember the story that came out in the paper a day before or something like that? Authorities went and attached the wrong flat. Instead
Yeah.
of 203, they attached 202.
Yeah.
And it took the poor guy 23 years to
वो
get it
इत्तर वाले में भी
answered.
वही हुआ ना. उत्तर प्रदेश में इत्तर वाले
नहीं,
में
नहीं, बॉम्बे में कहीं था ना.
नहीं इत्तर वाला
सुशांत बाजी,
they wanted to raid
गलती
अखिलेश
से आपका
इत्तर
मेरा
वाला
attach कर दिया,
नहीं, हमारा
you remember they wanted to raid अखिलेश परफ्यूम वाला they raided बीजेपी का परफ्यूम वाला 150
और
करोड़
वो
निकल
बेचारा बोलता रहेगा ये
कह रहा
मेरा
भाई,
बंदा नहीं है.
गया. मेरा नहीं. And
स्मेल तो बड़ी अच्छी आ रही है आपकी, यहाँ
and
से
Akhilesh
आती
is
हो.
coming out. ये पैसा किसका है? इसकी जांच होनी चाहिए. Wrong. They went to the wrong house, and both were the same surname. One was holding BJP's money. One was
That's
holding.
why when you
This is
see
such a-
some movies like Gangs of Wasipur and all, you think ये हो नहीं सकता, but actually it
It's-
does happen.
No, the reality is in fact many
Much
shades
more, yeah,
worse
worse.
than
Yeah,
what they
yeah.
show on
100%.
this thing.
Yeah, that's true. Acha, now that Bollywood का mention हुआ, so yesterday at the time
Is
of
this where I dance?
yeah, please do.
It's been
But
Already
by
on
the
the
way,
table.
Manoj
नहीं yeah, that Tripura का shot देखा था सारे legislators dancing on the-
Manoj Muntashir has apologized publicly
for that movie, no?
for the
Adipurush.
Today.
Adipurush.
Today he's
क्या
apologized.
बोला? Are you in favor of apologies?
No,
It's up to the person
I think
to
it's a
apologize or not,
creative.
but
See,
I'm
I
a
don't
free speech
look.
absolutist.
I disagree with the kind of attacks that were done. Okay. To
Yeah,
be fair,
did you see that Hanuman wala dialogue?
yeah, look, it was bad. It was lazy dialoguing.
एक तो जब आग लगाई ना तो हनुमान जी ने ऐसे कहा he is not supposed to express any kind of
See,
pain.
this supposed
Why?
to
Yeah,
supposed
he's
to
Hanuman.
He doesn't
insult
feel
that.
He's
pain.
Hanuman.
So what? Come on, किसने बोला?
Yeah,
कि
देखिए,
अमर
it's
सिंह
a very-
राठा ने बोला.
Yeah, जो हनुमान के लिए आप कहते हो ज्ञान गुण सागर वो इस तरह की लैंग्वेज करेगा तेरे बाप का तेल कम ऑन यार ज्ञान
I
गुण सागर
haven't seen the movie, so
So
I-
I'll tell you. I'll tell you
know
what
what I'm
the
saying?
problem
They
is.
went overboard.
They wanted to modernize it. Instead, they pedestrianized it.
Correct.
Well said.
Very well said. Very well
Good
said.
choice of
And-
words.
I don't think it's an intentional thing. I think it's a confusion of genre. They didn't understand the difference between modernization and pedestrianization. Or they
Dumbing
assumed,
down.
yeah. And look at Jesus Christ Superstar. It's such a well done musical.
Banned by Rajiv Gandhi, by the way. Continue.
Was it?
Of course.
You have a lot to apologize for, by the way. But
I have to contest. an
this was
election.
nowhere near
He's
Jesus Christ
keeping a
Superstar. It was a
diplomatic
very,
silence.
it was very pedestrian. That's
Okay,
what I
I
felt.
haven't seen the movie.
I'm well trained by you.
I was asking about this, today's social media storm, which is that Kajol in a podcast said that now that we
The
are
famous
podcaster, the Kajol, yes, the
टिपने पर से बन.
no,
Oh, for
that's not,
heaven's
that's
sake.
Ravina Tandon.
That's Rav.
Oh, sorry,
Apologize.
sorry,
Stand
sorry.
up and
Sorry,
right
boss.
now.
ये ले यार कान पकड़
Thank you.
लिया.
दिलवाले दुल्हनिया ले जाइए
हिम्मत
वाला
कैसे
गाना।
कर-
No. Tip Tip is Ravina.
दिलवाले
Yeah,
दुल्हनिया
yeah.
90s.
चलो यार
He's a
मैं
90s
निकलता हूँ
kid.
फिर है ना
90s fat boy
गोविंदा मीम
bomber.
करके मैं मेरा काम हो गया यहाँ पे मैं
हाँ.
So what did she apologize for?
So she didn't apologize. What she said
She
is
will.
that the country is ruled by uneducated people or something like that. She
Oh,
said. Haan.
Kajol.
So yeah. So
But
there
her
was
husband is the biggest fan of.
So social media furor happened that she herself is a school dropout. I'm not confirming this. She's a school dropout. Her husband is a college dropout. But getting into this thing, ki country is being ruled by uneducated bumpkins. So again, I'm paraphrasing. She didn't say bumpkins, but uneducated people. Now, then there's this whole thing which people are writing to say that. Just because she knows English and she speaks English well, people think ye educated hai. Nahi hai. True. And then it brought me to that, what Manoj Bajpayee said on one show, in which he said that English in our country, ye bhasha nahi hai. Ye ek skill hai.
Yeah.
Right?
Accessory.
Yeah. You need to get that skill. And
It's
he
a
was
currency to power.
Yeah.
So
If your accent, वो भी if your accent is right.
accent is
Not
right.
If your 100%.
Of course.
If your accent is not right, the first impression जो लोगों को मिलता है ना, that is that. What
I
a
think
khati
India's
person.
Listen,
changed. I think India's changed. I think the Prime Minister, the Home Minister.
Tehseen,
has
if I was
proved
to
it.
call this horse diverse instead of hors d'oeuvres, how would you react, darling?
But that's a French word. It's not an English
English.
word.
That doesn't matter.
But I agree
You
with
know,
you. I like-
45%
Yeah.
of the English language is from French.
But I'm not the deciding
Now, can I
audience.
expose this
I
guy
think-
again? I mean,
think-
he is sufficiently exposed, unfortunately. But when Modi in the Senate, he gave that.
Yeah.
Who were the ones? Congress leaders. You
And I
guys-
think
you-
one second.
it's
Let me
shameful,
put
Tehseen.
this. Let me
Apologize
put
for
this.
that.
Let me put this on
You
record.
didn't even tweet
Let me
once.
put this on record. It was wrong to
Yes,
told the Prime Minister
but
like
where
that. No
is your
if
tweet
and but.
condemning Jairam
No,
Ramesh
I'm
case?
saying it on ANI, which has seen much more
Dekho
millions.
abhi.
I'm not.
If I had not
don't take
brought
names.
this, he would have kept mum about it.
अभी तुमने निकाला तो मैं बोल
अरे,
रहा हूँ ना. I don't run
Dozens
away.
of
ना.
Congress
I don't
people
run
were
away.
mocking
I
the
don't
English
run,
of- so he's right about the accent, but
the one thing you can't
Prime
accuse me
Minister
of is running
speech
away. No,
English
Even-
no,
even
Smitaji,
the-
I want to say this.
Yeah.
They
Smitaji,
were
I want to
making
say
fun
this.
of his accent.
Smitaji, I want to say
They
this.
do this,
that is
ever
wrong.
since, ever
One
since
second,
he,
Smitaji, I
ever
want to say
since
this
he
something.
became Prime Minister, ever since Amit Shah became
They did it with the health minister. Who's the
Mansukh
Gujarati?
Mandavia.
That's right.
He's
Every
running
time.
today on the podcast, and he
Had
spoke
they?
about this. He said that as soon as I came, I was made fun of, and he says at that time I decided, ठीक है, मजाक उड़ा लो, मैं English नहीं बोल सकता हूँ, मेरा काम बोलेगा. Now, having said all this, I think we all as students have laughed about it, and we all in our light moments laugh at somebody's English, laugh at a delivery, laugh at a malaprop hota kya hua hai. When you talk about malapropism, it's that wrong usage of a word. We've all done that in our loose moments. But these are leaders. You're not expected to laugh at them because they've come from a certain strata of
Smitaji,
society.
I want to say this. First, Modi ji and Amit Shah ji are successful. And that proves that English is not the most important thing. But more importantly, I agree with you.
Again, he's
One
patronizing
second.
now.
No.
Again, he's
How is that
English कहाँ से
patronizing?
आ गई बीच में यार?
Because we are talking about
English
English.
bro.
Baba. We are in context to English.
One
yeah.
second.
No, one second.
It
Just one
does
second.
not-
Just give me one line. Just give me one line.
One line पे तेरे को question करेंगे ना. तेरे हर जुमले पे तेरे को question करेंगे.
करो।
वाह, वाह, वाह,
और
वाह,
मैं-
वाह,
और मैं कभी नहीं कहूँगा दोस्ती बनी
इरशाद,
रहे.
इरशाद.
And I will not run away saying दोस्ती बनी रहे. I will answer every question.
हाँ, obviously you will. तू कहाँ जाएगा भी? दरवाजा बंद है. तू यहाँ पर है कमरे में.
तू भी-
हमारे लठैत वहाँ पर बैठे हुए
सुशांत,
हैं.
तू भी ऐथी, मैं भी ऐथी.
पूछिए. आ जाओ.
हाँ, पूछो.
अब यार तू एक तो मेरे
नहीं,
ट्रैक
पूछो,
कर देता है. क्या बोल रहे थे हम उससे?
I said that
English की
Modi
बात.
ji is successful despite not knowing English as well or speaks very little English.
No, that's not.
No. So
Okay, so you think till then. I think
Rahul
the
speaks
Congress,
good English.
Right, and he's not successful as Modi ji is, and and so English is not the most important criteria.
But वहाँ पे
but
leaders को हिंदी बोलना पड़ता है. Devegowda, poor guy, kept saying that I will not be accepted because I don't speak Hindi.
So Congress
But-
will mock.
No, one second. Now, come on,
Congress
it
will
was my
mock
chance. One
BJP
second.
leaders.
No.
But
One-
they will never mock how Kharge, Mr.
No,
Kharge
one
speaks
second.
English
No.
or any of its leaders.
English
speak
is not
This
English is
plain
not
double
important.
standards.
English is not important for politics, but I think mocking the Prime Minister for the Congress was wrong. I'm saying this on record. It
Now,
was wrong.
2 weeks later,
I-
on record.
I'm saying it. It is wrong. As wrong as what Manish Shankar Iyer did with that
Bas.
chaiwala. It is wrong, and the Congress should learn that. But I also have a caveat here.
But aa gaya.
English is extremely important to teach our kids in the future world for AI. It has nothing to do with politics, but we must encourage our kids learning English because Sushant is right that there is a barrier between English
As a skill.
So we
Fine.
have to as a skill
Yeah.
because as a nation, as we want to
ठीक है.
develop,
हाँ.
move ahead in AI and Web 3.0, English is going to be the key to the global world. So we must, as a nation, encourage English. This does not mean the Prime Minister does not know English to mock him. The Congress needs to think and reflect on how it did that.
What's
It
the
is right.
connection
Minister
between
knows
what's
his
the
English?
connection between AI and English? That is not there between
Web-
Chinese and English or German and English.
Web 3. First of all German engineers in AI are in English. They're not in German not in German. But Web 3.0 is fundamentally based on English. It is going to be English as a medium. It's going to be a global language.
So
You know what I mean?
C++ is not required.
Of course, it's required.
English is more important than that.
English will be a skill. Also, if you want to be an economy that does have skill development, that is an economy that has a service sector, English will be important to get in global
This is-
audiences.
this whole
You
thing
see,
It is
I don't
important.
think English is important politically.
It's
but
not
I
important
do
politically.
think it
Explain
is
that,
important
would you?
in terms of governance. And I'll tell you why.
Governance.
English has a certain sophistication. This is why it overtook Latin and French as the language of treaties. It has a certain sophistication of conveying very complex
It
idioms.
overtook Latin and French because they occupied more parts of the world.
And,
It is as simple as
much
that.
more sophisticated in
Mate,
its,
I don't know what you're talking about, mate. Yeah, just stop it, all right?
in a certain way. And unless you
ठीक है
understand
रे यार.
perfect and complex English,
Like a-
you cannot
A
explore the
friend-
mysteries
family
of
friend in Australia.
good governance.
You know, he went to the thing and at the customs he was asked, mate, have you come to die? He said, no, sir, I've come to live.
Good one. Yeah. अच्छा अब एक एक करके आ जाते हैं. Let's go back to international news.
क्या है?
सुशांत का
फ्रांस
जो-
के बारे में बात करते हुए इतना राइट हो रहा है.
Oh, look at the sheer delight on his face, यार ऐसे.
अच्छा
Modi ji is going to
माइग्रेशन पे
France.
हाँ व्हाट्स
I'm a
हैपनिंग
complete
नेदरलैंड्स
pyromaniac.
नेदरलैंड की गवर्नमेंट गिर गई कल रात को यू नो दिस इज व्हाट
Pyromaniac.
हैपेंस क्या
Have
मतलब
you
क्या
seen that clip which has come today? I don't know whether it was yesterday or today. इसका यार विक्टर ऑर्बान का ऑर्बान
Hungary's.
उसका okay, the EU has passed some law on refugees and mandated every EU member to have these refugee camps, etc. And Orban has just refused. He said, I'm
I
not
think he
gonna
did
do
that
it.
long back. Hungary and Poland refused to take any non-Christian refugees.
So what's going to happen? Tell me with
Oh,
France.
yeah. So
Is
they-
it really?
They're
Is it
members of
is
NATO.
it organized?
So let's.
What do you
let's-
think is going to
look,
happen?
Riots require certain level of organization.
Yeah, that's what-
But look, in France, if you go back historically, every 5 to 10 years they have these big flare-up of riots, right? 2014 या 15 में हुआ था. उसके पहले 2005 में एक बार हुआ था. 2005 were the big riots when Nicolas Sarkozy made his name as the home minister because you know he said I'll Karcher them out. You know that high pressure steam cleaner का जो ये आता है.
Oh, God.
Yeah, he said. And all the riots happened in areas built by Le Corbusier. Because here, Le Corbusier in India, Le Corbusier built a
Chandigarh.
capital. There in France, he was only deemed fit enough to build slums. ठीक है, the banlieues as they're called. But look, here is the issue. France provides equality of input, not equality of output. Everybody, the French health system is superb. The French education system in the smallest of villages is superb. Okay, they put in an equal investment out there. They go on that extra effort. You will always have housing. If you do not get a job, you will get a very generous dole by any standard.
Yeah, very socialist
Okay,
they are.
sure. Now, in spite of
Really,
all of
really.
that, if you are not able to get employment, if you are not able to climb out of the pit, that is your problem. We can't ensure that. Now, they're very strict about this. You know, in France, you cannot gather data based on ethnicity, religion. It is illegal. Even foreign companies and things like that cannot gather data based on ethnicity, religion, etc.
हमारा मीडिया तो मर जाएगा वहाँ पे.
हमारा मीडिया तो मर जाएगा. You cannot report it based on ethnicity, religion, or
मिला नहीं
anything like
मीडिया को
that.
थप्पड़ मार लो.
So what
नहीं,
ends
तो
up
हमारे यहाँ
happening
पर
is,
तो हो रहा है ना यहाँ कंट्रोवर्सी नहीं कि आपने की हुई सेंसस की
बिल्कुल.
कि ये बताओ कि कास्ट सेंसस करो ये सेंसस वी हैव बीन डूइंग इट
let's focus on this. So what happens out here is you have a system where just one kind of ethnicity, not even Africans, it's very specifically North Africans and the latest wave of refugees from Syria who are not able to adjust. Okay? You look at Vietnamese French, Indian French. Yeah, Indian French are much browner than North Africans are. North Africans can pass off as Mediterranean. Pondicherry Walas can't even pass off as that. And yet they're completely integrated into French society. Vietnamese French are completely integrated into French society. Why are North Africans not integrating? Why is it that some Africans are able to integrate much better than North Africans are? So there's something fundamentally wrong out there.
Which is
France
one word.
refuses to accept. No. So you
ये
look at...
बहुत ही बदमाश है,
मैंने
पता है?
क्या-
No, Anand,
बहुत
very wrong.
बदमाश
Because one of the biggest communities is Persian
Yeah.
French who are completely integrated into French society. Okay, so if it was a religious problem,
It
then
wasn't religious.
Iranian French should not be able to have gotten integrated.
In fact,
so
the
much.
French government has just clarified it had nothing
Yeah.
to do with either refugees or religion. It's one
The
ethnicity.
So
problem-
now,
No,
let's get to
so-
let's get to what is going to happen. I mean,
So what is going to happen is nothing is going to
Iranian
happen.
French are not Islamic, by the way.
No, they're very they're Muslims. They are not.
they are not-
No.
Most of them have
no,
escaped.
No.
Most of
They
them
have
have
totally
escaped.
westernized.
Most of them have
They are
escaped.
not
See, you're confusing
fundamentalists.
religion and way of life.
They are not fundamentalists, yeah?
Not all Muslims are fundamentalists, Anand.
so that's what he's saying.
That's what I'm saying.
He's saying they're not Islamists. It's not. They're
No,
not
but a lot of
Muslim.
North Africans are not Islamists.
This is and it's
They are not Islamist.
This is not a religious
The
thing. It
people
had nothing to do with
who are
religion.
creating all this ruckus, are you saying they are not Islamists?
No,
They are not.
They are not.
They're just
The
looting
they are
now.
not.
What
no,
are they
no,
doing?
the government has come out and clarified. This happened because that young boy got killed.
Yeah.
And
And
let's examine these. Let's examine the killing as well because
Correct.
that's very important to give
The
our
videos
viewers
come
context.
out.
Videos sab chodo. See, American cities, they shoot you for trying anything funny with them in terms of motion because you can have
Immediately,
a gun.
yeah.
Immediately. They don't shoot you for running away in a car chase.
Correct.
Why? Because American cities are car optimized. European cities are pedestrian optimized. So when you try a high-speed car chase kind of thing, the police will shoot you out there because in a European city, you will cause a lot more damage than you will in an American city driving on the freeway. Okay?
That's not the reason.
he was not on the freeway. He was in the bus
It
lane.
wasn't a
He
freeway.
was in the bus lane.
It wasn't a
He
bus
in
lane.
the
He was
bus
driving
lane.
away. There was a danger of a car chase. It is very dangerous in the set in pedestrian optimized cities to run away.
Okay,
No,
there's
but sorry,
always
police
a spark.
responsible.
There's
No,
always
no,
a
no.
spark.
No, no,
yeah.
but-
No, no,
Let's
one
not-
second, one
Just
second.
one,
Get
just
to
one.
the
It
point.
is the cop out there. The video that's come out tells the 16-year-old boy, "I will shoot you through the head." Now this guy had stopped. The 16-year-old boy had stopped. The videos now come out where the cop says, "I will shoot you through the head," and then shoots him through the head. That's what sparked the riots.
No,
because
no.
That's
He
wrong.
no,
That's wrong.
That's not
Totally
right.
That's wrong.
He
He
runs
that's
away.
wrong.
He tried to run away after he said, "Now I'll shoot you through the head."
No.
He
No.
shot. He
No.
told him that
No.
video's out.
No.
I
No.
will shoot you through the
No.
head.
How- Can you verify
Yeah,
the video?
this is the fifth time
Who has
you have
taken out
fact-checked
the-
him. Fifth time.
नहीं भाई अब
Anyway,
ये वही कर रहे हैं ना
leave
कि
that.
छोड़
Let's
दिया
look
उसके बाद
at the
ढूंढते
impact
रहो
on
आप
France. Let's look at the impact on France. Pata. The impact is exactly
devastating.
zero in terms of policy. France is very clear they are not changing their policy.
They'll just allow this loot to
They've
happen.
accepted. So now the thing is, the criticism is now against Macron that he did not crack down on this the way
Yeah.
Sarkozy did.
Yeah.
Abhijit, the psyche
Okay.
of they have been rattled,
But
yeah.
they have not been rattled, Anand. This is a huge mistake you make. Every time this happens, every 5 to 10 years, people say France has fallen, France is rattled. They are never rattled. They have accepted the fact that this is going to be a periodic event. And most importantly,
You
this
are
time...
Anglophile or Francophile?
No, I'm also a Francophile.
But,
But this time, you know, the other than Nahel, who was the boy who died, you know, the one other death kahan hua? In Kourou in French Guyana, where the rockets are launched in South America, where some stray bullet, somewhere a policeman was sitting and drinking coffee on his balcony and the stray bullet came and hit him. Now, French Guyana mein, where are the migrants? Where are the North Africans? Reunion Island, which is in the which has
Why
a
were
5-hour
they
people were
riding
direct
injured
flight
in
to,
this.
the
A
Why
lot
were
of
they
people were
riding in
injured in this,
Montreal?
right? Nobody might have died. But a lot of people have been
and
severely
property
injured.
demolished.
destroyed,
Come on.
burned down, libraries burned down.
They have accepted that this is going to boil up every 10 years and that is the cost of French secularism.
It's not happening every 10 years now.
It's happening more frequently.
Number
Okay,
one.
is it
Number
going
two,
to spread? Is
Abhijit,
it going
tell
to
me.
spread? Is it going to spread?
It spread to Belgium?
Yeah.
It spread to Belgium.
Yeah.
right?
Belgium
It
is
spread
not
to
France.
Montreal यार.
So, yeah.
Montreal में demonstrations हुई हैं और पता नहीं protest
Or
इस type का
Montreal
हुआ
were
है.
protesters because that guy wanted to burn the Quran.
Where? Montreal?
Sweden.
That was Sweden.
In Sweden. So the
I'm
protest
talking about
came up.
Montreal.
Yeah, but then all of that got mixed up.
No.
Yeah,
Acha, हमने-
Montreal, the protests happened because of what was happening in
Yeah,
France.
but the police. But then they are anti-police
This is the
being
sixth
violent.
time you have fact
No.
I'm just keeping a tab.
It's a question of everything. Montreal, the protesters, all of it come together. But The
यार
fact
ये अब देख अब मैं इसको फिर चेक करूंगा 7th.
अरे कैसा 7?
It was all. This is such a generic statement.
Of course
it was
it's
all of
generic.
it, Matiki, because
Yeah,
something
so
happened from
Montreal
the
protest was
earth.
everything.
A
अच्छा,
lot of
भाई,
fires were taking
also,
place
it
in
was
Montreal.
See,
यार,
Montreal,
इंडिया पे कोई effect नहीं
Montreal,
इसका। मुझे ये बताओ।
zero.
क्या
Okay.
होगा effect?
That's what I
Seriously,
want.
zero.
क्या effect?
India, many
Montreal.
people were drawing
Montreal
parallel.
votes.
Abhijit, let's
One
come to
second.
the. No,
They
please.
were
One
drawing
second,
parallels.
Anand.
Yes.
I'm asking you only, yeah.
Montreal votes NDP. They vote for Jagmeet Singh. Nothing good can ever come from their
हाँ
brains.
नहीं
Thank you.
बात भी मत करो उनकी
Thank
मैं
you.
तो से कह रहा हूँ many people started drawing parallels that there is 8% of Muslim population in France. This is happening. In India it is
It's 12-14% in France.
12-14%.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought it was 8%.
आज मैं
गुजरात.
फैक्ट चेकर बना हुआ हूँ यार.
8% in Gujarat.
Hi,
Gujarat
wow.
is 8%. Gujarat and France are similar.
भगवान बचाए.
गुजरात कहाँ से आ गया बीच में?
8%. I'm telling you.
जान
where-
मुझ के लाया ये
छोड़
देखो,
दिया
ये
ना
छोड़ा
फिर
इसने।
एक और छोड़ दिया.
जान बुझ के लाया,
Fact check करो. Fact check.
फिर
this.
उंगल दे दी.
Fact check. गुजरात
भाई तो
8%.
हिमाचल बोल देता.
मैं गुजरात बोल रहा हूँ.
देख रहे हो ये?
मैं गुजरात में 8%.
कोई भी
अरे 8% से मैं कंपेयर कर
अब
रहा हूँ.
जैसे
गुजरात में
कल
8%
कल
नहीं.
ये कह रहा
हिमाचल
था
में नहीं.
राहुल गांधी ने ये did not ask for foreign intervention.
He didn't?
He insinuated he wanted to.
He
as you
asked
said,
for it.
Of course.
What else is asking for it?
Exactly.
The
अब वो
only
literally थोड़ा बोलेगा राहुल
the
गांधी.
next
हाँ.
step.
But you got
one second, Tehseen. The next step would have been to send a formal letter
Correct.
of invitation like
Correct.
Shah Waliullah
Yes.
said. ठीक है, that was the next step.
But ये अड़
राहुल
गया
गांधी
वो
तो-
हो जाएगा फिर.
He
So
said-
what he was
he
saying,
said democracy is
मुझे
a public
statement
good.
दिखाओ
अरे यार,
कि
वो-
राहुल गांधी ने कहा
Democracy
अमेरिका
is a public
यूरोप
good.
आके हमें बचाओ. अब
The
ये कहेगा
democracy
राहुल
is a
गांधी.
public good.
He
The
said,
democracy
I
is
am
a public
shocked
good.
that
Indian democracy is a
Europe
public good.
and America are silent spectators or something.
Silent
He said something
Yeah,
along
but-
those
okay,
lines.
one second. Tell me something. This whole bloody nonsense of democracy, public good तो है in India, right?
Global public.
You tell me something. Let's start talking about democracy around the world. I don't want people to talk about Indian democracy. Indian democracy is very healthy. Except in West Bengal, which we have
Except
seen.
in Congress
And
ruled
Manipur.
We have
states.
And
seen the
Manipur.
demonstration of
Chhattisgarh.
democracy
And Manipur.
where people are
No,
actually becoming...
Manipur.
We have to talk about Manipur.
Talk about
See,
Manipur.
Manipur.
Because ये इनका favorite
Manipur is
trope
not
आ गया.
a...
Manipur.
If one
में
second.
हो,
If I've
फुटबॉल
been
में
in
जीते रहे
Varanasi,
मणिपुर
Indian
What about
democracy-
Malda? What about
Manipur,
Malda?
Indian
Manipur,
democracy is ended.
Yeah,
I agree.
Manipur is
That's a fact check I
is
agree
a
with.
separate case. It's not an issue of democracy as such. It's an issue of almost like a civil war situation. Okay, because there are communities fighting against each other. It's a separate case.
It's a government failure.
It is a government failure. Obviously, if this kind of violence is happening, obviously it's a
Yeah,
government
every
failure.
thing is a government
Why
failure,
should I deny that it's not a government failure?
And I also feel Modi should have talked about
Yes,
it.
he should have, and it's a mistake that he hasn't. But let's come back to democracy. So don't conflate a kind of the kind of violence that has happened in a place like Manipur with the glory of democracy in Bengal. What has happened today, and what has happened in previous elections in Bengal. But for me, for somebody outside India to give me lectures when they can't even count their bloody votes properly and it takes them 3 weeks to count
Chad.
their votes.
Hanging
Huh?
Chad.
Hanging Chads. Right? So, I am saying there are huge problems in Indian democracy.
Of course.
Just
Look
as
at
there
that,
are
Rahul.
huge
Why
problems
does he
in
do that?
American,
Irritating
French,
now.
No, I'll have to
Belgian,
answer.
Netherlands,
Yeah.
British democracy.
I agree with you.
right?
Terrible.
Democracy
So for
can
them,
never
one
be
second.
perfect.
For these white people to turn around and pontificate to me on how my country should run, when you put your main opposition leader, you put him in jail or you prosecute him for whatever charges. I'm not getting into the validity or the lack of it of those charges, right?
Right.
And you give a kind of a pass to the son of the president.
Correct.
And I'm again not getting into a value judgment on whether he was right, wrong. I'm not getting into it. I don't know enough of it. Right? But if I was to go on a public platform as an Indian leader and start questioning them, what would happen? How come they think that they are so bloody entitled that they can look at me, look down on
Latest
me,
being
and
the US
tell
ambassador.
me, give me lectures on democracy?
कल US ambassador आ गया
Manipur में.
मणिपुर में
Yeah, but I'll tell you why I will not blame the US ambassador. Because that idiotic journalist...
The question was loaded.
But you,
Completely loaded.
if I ask Smita, will you do this? She said, well, if you ask me to do this, I'll do it.
The
That is
question
what he
was
said.
very
Very
loaded.
loaded.
Look, it was a Telegraph journalist. Yeah, what do you expect from
but-
ABP?
And then, but I agree on one thing. India is a democracy. No democracy is perfect. India, like other
Again,
democracies,
patronizing.
And
no,
nobody
why are
has
you
a-
talking about
how
this?
the hell
And
is
time
it
and again,
patronizing?
and
No
acha-
democracy is
acha,
perfect.
Gore to jo
Why is
karte-
it patronizing?
Pakistan you
No,
talk
no,
about
no,
Indian
what
democracy.
is patronizing about no democracy?
It is
because you are
no
insinuating
democracy
an
is
Indian
perfect.
ambassador
And
talking
Indian
that
you because
things
you
are
are
wrong.
interrupting.
An Indian
I'm not saying
ambassador
you're
talking
wrong.
about gun
You
violence
are
in
you're
America.
jumping the gun because you want to prove a point.
हाँ.
ये क्या है ये?
Indian
Silence
democracy.
descends.
Indian democracy
एक-एक
is
करके बात
Indian
करो.
Stop
democracy.
talking about Indian democracy.
No, because the
ask
topic
Rahul
is
Gandhi
Indian. The topic
to
is Indian democracy.
Not to go there
The
and
topic
say
is Indian
our
democracy,
institutions
Professor.
are sold out. Supreme Court is sold out.
When did he say
Elections-
Supreme Court is sold out?
So many times he has
He
said.
never said Supreme Court is sold out.
He didn't
Now,
say
now,
every
why are you
institution.
not fact checking him?
Every institution is dead.
He never said they're
Democratic.
dead. He never said
There
they're
is
dead.
no democracy in any
One second.
institution.
By
left.
Democracy-
Supreme Court आप ही
Is
करते
Supreme
हो.
Court and institution or not?
Democracy is
भैया देख
democracy
मेरे
is
को तो
work in
कंटेम्प्ट
progress.
ऑफ कोर्ट का
हाँ.
कोई शौक नहीं है
हाँ.
तू
Please.
झेल रहा है तेरे को बड़ा अच्छा वकील भी मिल गया है हम मेरे पास कोई वकील भी नहीं है
हाँ, so let's
ठीक
not
है?
go into the
See,
course.
I am-
my motto is he who fights and runs away lives to fight another.
I believe in running away.
I believe in guerrilla tactics.
I have told him also.
Question is how fast can you run away?
Correct.
The issue is to not enter that situation, so that I don't have to run very fast after that.
Acha, let's get to real politics now. Cabinet reshuffle
11th,
happening,
अरे
not
यार,
happening.
इतनी boring
What
चीज
is-
है cabinet reshuffle.
Should
क्या
it
फर्क
happen?
पड़ता है?
Shouldn't it happen?
How does it make a
Praful
difference?
Does it make
Patel,
a-
and it shows the government is
Oh
failed.
my God. Praful Patel.
Does it? Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. That
What?
does Modi need to do a cabinet reshuffle before
Why?
2024
Why?
elections? Yeah, that's what.
Government is failed.
No, he has to bring in
do.
NCP.
If he
So
brings
the
in-
government was failing every 6 months when Mrs. Gandhi used to do a cabinet reshuffle.
Right now it's failed. मैं अकेला सब पे भारी Mrs. Gandhi didn't say I alone.
It was India is
Indira is Indira, Indira is India.
Now we're talking about Indira ji. You have to- He's talking about Sonia ji.
For heaven's
I'm not
sake.
talking about Sonia. I said Indira Gandhi.
Now we're talking about this.
Sonia Gandhi was never prime minister. How could she do it?
Of course she was.
doing that.
What are you saying?
But this government
The,
is
the
was a
basic point is
shadow prime
NCP will have to be accommodated.
Yeah.
Bas. Accommodate karo, but it's neither a sign of
Expansion.
What is Praful Patel getting?
Expansion
I
is what is
I
going to
hope
happen.
it's not civil aviation, for heaven's sake.
Poor Jyotiraditya.
I mean, that will be such a cruel joke on Indians. Yeah.
यार देख ऐसे है you know sometimes you're very harsh. I'll tell you why. And I understand. I appreciate.
पाजी गुस्सा आता है.
No, so here is the thing. You know, and my eyes opened when I started reading about Abraham Lincoln, and then when I saw that movie. So what was Lincoln?
Which one?
Li-
9.5 days.
No, Lincoln wali, yaar.
that
know what I'm
Daniel Day-Lewis acting as Lincoln.
Yeah, right? So the saransh of that movie is that Lincoln, more than anything else, was a brilliant politician. And what was so as a good politician, and a statesman, what he was doing was he was looking at the big picture. He was thinking about what is that big thing which he needs to do. And to do that big thing, if he needs to give him the postmastership of something, give him some theka somewhere, give you something, that's
For
a
the
very
greater good.
For the that's a very small price to pay. So very often, when we start passing these kind of judgments on politicians, and I know it's done very cynically out here, it's done for very shallow reasons out here. I know all of that.
What was the greater
right?
good in Ajay Mishra Teni continuing?
I said no. What is the problem with Ajay Mishra Teni?
His son mowed farmers down.
That is your
what is
allegation.
HKL Bhagat,
He was attacked.
Jagdish Titler.
That is
so
your-
shall we
So
start
BJ
with those?
So BJP should have said New India is
Even
exactly
Kamal
like
Nath,
old
okay?
India.
हाँ.
BJP should have said New India is exactly
क्या
like old
करते तू
India.
you know अब ये वो डिटेल कर रहा है ना
नहीं, आप बोल रहे हैं, वो बोल
अब
देते
मैं
ना।
Let him
बहुत
finish.
I am talking about something nice and noble and he brings me down to the gutter
वो
level.
wrestling
That is what he
federation का
does.
But
MP
see, I
वो
think
wrestling
there is a
federation का
congregation
MP
of the
गलत
BJP
बात।
happening.
Of course
I
it's happened.
asked
वो
this,
wrestling
right,
federation का MP
because
क्या अच्छा
this,
काम किया?
see, I
यार
accept,
global
I
बोले।
accept one second, Tehseen. I accept Sushant's argument that bigger picture के लिए ये छोटे indiscretions को accept कर लो. The problem is the sum total. 1 second. The problem is the sum total of these small indiscretions becomes so big.
Yeah.
It takes away from the big picture, and I bet you this is how the best intentions of the Congress ultimately mired
And
it
the
in
big
complete.
picture never comes.
It never
So-
comes.
As
so-
by
so-
Have temples got freed?
That's what I'm
So
saying.
here is the thing. In every developed country of the
it's
world.
not, it never comes. It comes like 370 is one of the greatest decisions, abrogation of that, no doubt about it.
It was not been abrogated, it's been amended.
Amended.
Yes,
it's
amended.
not been abrogated.
It is constitutional reform and amendment.
Yes.
And
Not an abrogation.
Air India
But it
privatization.
no longer exists. in
It
the
very
sense-
much
It
exists in the
exists.
Constitution.
370 exists. In 370
It's been
they
hollowed
made it.
out,
Hollowed out.
They put that.
but
in.
it exists.
Yeah.
So
It
don't
is
say
Laws there
370.
that the existing assembly at that time. So it is a very convoluted thing.
But 370 is very much
जो-
part
जो
and
लिखा
part.
है
Which
डेढ़
is
साल
why
में
the
सब
Supreme
बदलो।
Court will not
जो
check it.
गलत शब्दों का इस्तेमाल करते हो आप लोग.
नहीं वो सुशांत का है ना केटी क्या था वो
गलत शब्द
Even the bill in Parliament was to amend it.
TKHB
तू कौन-
TKHB.
Sushant, even the bill in Parliament was to amend it, not to abrogate it.
Huh?
You know, I
Even the bill in
recreated
Parliament
it
was to
on
amend it, not to
anniversary
abrogate
numbers.
it.
Absolutely.
It is the bridge with Jammu and Kashmir. You cannot abrogate it.
No, it's not a bridge or anything.
In that sense,
that's
that's
no, no, no,
constitution
that's
He
was-
was, he
nonsense.
was
Acha, can
talking
we-
something serious.
while-
No, can I just finish
okay.
what he was saying?
What was it?
the larger
Papa.
picture.
The larger picture.
इसको बड़ा senior moments हो रहा है.
हाँ.
you noticed?
ये बहुत, he is going towards politics.
Even though there's
Stand-
sugar and
Gurgaon में is
everything.
going to stand for election.
And emotional also.
ये देखो यार,
ये
मेरे
हो
पीछे
रहा
पड़ गए हो।
है इंदिरा जी ने ये किया larger good.
नहीं नहीं, larger good is very important यार. It's
Brij
you
Bhushan was
always have
larger
to look
good.
at the big
But
picture.
can I
Brij
just
Bhushan
ask
was
you
larger
something?
good.
In this quest for larger good, have you not decimated every promise that you made that you are going to tackle corruption, you are going to tackle this? Every promise is gone here.
Yeah, okay. So a couple of things. Number one, at the high level, I think corruption levels are certainly not what they were 10 years back. I don't see how anybody can say that there is still that same level of corruption. Okay, it's not.
Can I counter that?
Please.
One, scams have their own day and age to come out. Tomorrow you
How
might
come
find
they were coming
2
out
lakh.
between 24?
So was
Because
was-
Congress was giving all the papers.
Now let me ask you. Now I'm
तो
not.
नहीं दे रहे थे बुला कर he give his paper, give this one's paper.
So-
तो CWG के पेपर किसने दिए सारे?
So for example, CWG स्कैम में कितने लोग जेल में हैं? 2G स्कैम में कितने लोग जेल में? कोलगेट स्कैम में कितने लोग जेल में?
Zero.
कोई नहीं. वो छोटे लेवल के लोग गए थे for some time.
कौन गया?
For some time,
Finance
that
secretary?
Bhanut, those kind of
In
guys.
Colgate, that only that one
But
bureaucrat
that's what happens,
accepted
no?
guilt
You
because he
scratch
doesn't have
my
money
back
to
when
fight.
I say
And
it.
that was so wrong.
So that's
the
what
government
you
should
were
have
saying,
protected
that
him.
the
I
congressization
agree.
of BJP happening, where systems come into place.
But you mean to say that BJP wasn't like this when you say congressization is happening? I tell you, every political party is like this.
Yeah, so here is the other thing.
I mean, you look at nuclear deal. ऐसी डील्स करी है कांग्रेस ने वो पास करने के लिए. I mean, मुलायम
But
सिंह को
boss-
सीबीआई से
No, no,
निकाला.
was it not-
Listen,
that was
listen,
a greater
listen,
good.
listen,
That
listen,
was- you
listen,
chose the wrong
That is
analogy
the greater
there.
good.
That
That
was
is the
an
greater good.
absolute
Greater
national
good.
interest.
Greater good.
Anything done for it was
Cash
absolutely
forward.
justified.
पकड़ लिया मैंने.
Greater
I
good.
agree with
That
that.
is the
Yeah.
greater
He
good.
agrees with
That
me.
is
तो
the
फिर
greater
कैसे-
good.
how
No,
are you-
Atiq Ahmed voted for
Because
BJP.
that was a finite goal.
Yes.
It wasn't
Again,
some
greater good.
It
That
wasn't
is the
ends
greater good.
justify the means.
Tomorrow
That's
it's
what
a
you're
day
saying,
away.
na? Ends justify the
Yes,
means.
no, no,
Sometimes they do,
completely
yeah.
agree.
Sometimes they do.
हरदम
Completely
Absolutely,
agree.
sometimes they do.
So if you say ends don't justify the
Yes.
means, then let's come back to Mahatma Gandhi.
Don't mention
Ah,
Mahatma
no,
Gandhi.
No, no, no. Then you're a
Exactly.
Gandhian.
Then you are.
Then you're a
If you
Gandhian.
No, no, tell me what are you going to say about Gandhi? मैं इसलिए कह रहा था क्योंकि मेरे
No,
पे
because
केस है.
the Mahatma always believed that the ends don't justify the means.
Mahatma also believed that the sun
Yeah,
rises
so
from the east
that-
doesn't mean that,
so-
you know,
so
we have
there's
to
many
believe
different
Mahatma
things.
to believe that.
No, therefore
But
you're
that's
a
a Gandhian
Gandhian.
principle, no?
No, it's not a Gandhian principle just because Gandhi believes in it. That
Is it
principle existed before.
Yeah,
Gandhi.
but so
As
so,
Ambedkar said,
so,
Gandhi's idea
so
of
if you are-
non-violence is not original.
So, boss, if you
course
are
it's
in a
not original.
if you are in a absolutely living in a kind of a utopia of yours and a world of make believe, then you can be a purist.
Do you know, Anand, I think you've started quoting so much from the Quran, you've turned fundamentalist. Do you know what a
Turned into what?
fundamentalist is?
Fundamentalist.
A fundamentalist is one who cannot adapt the word to life.
You have to adjust, yaar.
you
Now I
want
want to
life
say
to
something.
adapt to the
Now
world.
I want to say something. I want to say something important because you've touched not a raw nerve, but something that merits explaining. I have always been like this, and that is my problem. I am a man of black and white. I cannot give away something in the hope of greater good. Like, for example, the things you mentioned. Because then there is no stopping it. You will rationalize every crime of yours in the name of greater good. Every crime.
Okay, then may I ask
No.
you, then
Yes.
how do you
No.
rationalize?
And this is where Hinduism refuses to accept
Exactly.
black and white.
It's never black and white. But
Why will you not rationalize?
let me take your argument that you
For
made.
example,
No, one second, let me take your
I-
argument. No, 1 second. Let me take your argument you made 30 seconds ago.
The Hindu philosophy is that there is no absolute truth.
Absolute.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All truth is relative.
Exactly.
ठीक है?
I don't agree with that.
No, you may not.
You may not, but that's the Hindu
That's
philosophy.
also a good Hindu.
Yeah.
Good Hindu
हाँ.
में यही
We are not going to
भी है.
excommunicate you just because you don't agree with that.
Or say
right?
Sartan se juda.
हाँ. Or say
Wajibul qatl.
Wajibul qatl नहीं हो तुम. You are entitled to your views, but the fact of the matter remains that, for example, in Hinduism, all truth is relative.
Yeah.
Okay. There is nothing.
Rashomon,
There is
no
only
one
one
thing.
absolute
There is no one
truth,
truth.
which is death.
Correct. There is no one truth except that. Correct.
That's the only thing.
बहुत philosophical हो
politician
गया
बन
है.
गया।
And that is why Yamaraja is called Dharmaraja.
Yeah.
So you will
Because it is the
rationalize every
ultimate-
crime.
I am not
Which is-
rationalizing
so-
it.
Which
Anand,
crime will you
Anand,
not?
Anand,
rationalize?
Anand, Anand.
No,
Anand,
you justify
crime
370
is-
which I agree. No, 1 second.
To-
I agree with
To kill
370.
is wrong. You agree?
अच्छा,
To
बस
kill-
वही है.
To kill is wrong. You agree?
Yes. No, I mean.
No, 1 second.
For
1
armed
second.
forces,
No, no,
one
one second,
second.
let's
One
catch
second.
him to Zoda.
We will
You agree
use- we will
370
use
going
the
is a good
Socratic
thing? You
method
agree
again.
370?
No, he was
No,
coming
no,
there.
no,
no, 1 second.
We
You
will
agree
use the
370
Socratic
Is
method
wrong
again.
is not an
1
axiom
second.
that I agree with.
For greater good,
All the
killing
time.
is okay.
So you agree? For the greater
महाभारत
good,
में
killing
हुआ
is
ना.
okay?
No, when you kill an enemy.
Was killing Hitler right?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Is killing
Is-
Pakistan in a war right?
Killing Pakistan.
Pakistani
is
soldiers,
hanging Ajmal
Pakistani-
Kasab right?
Pakistan.
sorry?
Is hanging Ajmal Kasab
course,
right?
yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
Okay. Is euthanasia for the terminally ill justified?
Okay. For that, euthanasia means they have their. So I believe yes. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So you accept that death is acceptable in certain cases?
Yes.
So there you go.
Crime is what is caught.
It's shades of grey.
What is not caught is not crime.
This is not. No, 1 second. If a person says, I want to, first of all, so I am, as Kamu said, the only philosophical problem remaining is suicide. I am for someone who says, I want to commit suicide. So, how am I committing a crime if I am a nurse and I remove the tube? The person said, remove my tube. That's
So-
not a crime I've committed.
So,
But
Again?
if tomorrow, just to give you this example of Praful Patel, for example, BJP, Modi, everyone believed the guy has committed a scam, civilization scam, right? Am I wrong or am I right?
They've been attacking him.
Right?
They've been
Correct?
attacking
till
him.
3
Now,
days back,
tomorrow-
he would have said you are wrong. Today, he's saying
No,
you're right.
I am still saying. I have never accused. I'm still saying the same thing. I'm the only one who's not changed here.
Oh,
the only
come
one
on.
changed is BJP.
Come
When
on.
have I defended
But
Ajit
let me
Pawar and
finish.
Praful
See,
Patel?
I have always
Arre,
said that
the-
Praful Patel was innocent, and I believe in innocence till proven guilty.
I agree with that.
No, look. So all I'm saying is that, and 3 days before,
तू कैसे okay? To
3
take off
days
from-
before
how are you
NCP
calling
came
him?
in-
How are you calling him corrupt?
I'm not saying he's corrupt.
Huh.
I'm saying BJP,
BJP
is calling.
saying-
corrupt.
No, BJP can say anything. यार, the people
So
just
I believe
level-
in a person being innocent until proven guilty. I do that.
But ठीक है.
But for BJP and for Modi to say that 70,000 crore
So
का
they
scam
have
किया
seen
ये
the
किया,
light of the day ना वो क्या हमने पहले जो बोला
rationalize
था
कर लिया ना उन्होंने।
गलत
Letting
था।
Praful Patel for the greater
Rationalize
good
कर
of the
लिया।
अरे भाई
nation.
अकल भी तो आ जाती है लोगों को
अच्छा,
यार
greater
हाँ,
good-
as you
एक
go
बात
move
बात
on.
बताना।
Praful
Listen,
Patel and
listen.
Ajit Pawar for the greater good of the
Political
nation.
accusation is not a fact. Okay, generally, politicians will always
That's being
accuse
so
the other
cynical.
side.
So Rahul
So
Gandhi,
Savan-
then you, so
No,
you,
but
so you
it's
think
the
that
truth.
the conviction of Rahul Gandhi is wrong then?
Yeah.
Is it greater good for
I don't
Fadnavis?
agree with this conviction.
It's a
I've
very
been
interesting
clear
Is
discussion.
about
it
it.
greater good for Fadnavis to keep Maharashtra strong, so that's why getting them, or was the greater good for 2024?
Yeah.
I'm getting down
वही
to the basics.
greater good है क्या इसमें?
2024
पाजी तो बताओ।
Greater
क्या है?
good is what is defined by the person who's going for the greater
This
good.
is
Exactly.
extreme rationalization.
Wow.
This is
Wow, Guruji, wow. Wow, Guruji, wow.
Fact नहीं है.
जो what
भाई
works
देखो,
for me is greater good.
So if you were to ask me, I would have said that the BJP is making a big mistake. They've got a good thing going. They've broken the Sena. They've got their basic alliance back. So they had a good thing going. Now they want to double down, right? And they bring in these guys. This is going to cause more problems with the BJP. Because how are you now going to parcel out
Yeah,
the
but
seats?
they are not, Shinde faction is not liking this by the way.
No,
So this
obviously.
is
They're
not
very
for
angry.
Maharashtra, this is for 2024. क्योंकि 48 seats में से they need full saturation.
Correct.
They need
Right?
at least 40, 42.
So yeah, because कहाँ से नहीं तो आएंगे.
तो
They
ये-
might
ये-
do.
They
So
still
I-
lose
so-
Pune.
अब मैं
are they-
सवाल करना चाहता हूँ।
No, so
नहीं,
are
नहीं,
you
देखो यार,
saying?
अब
Are
मैं
you
ये सवाल
one
करना
second.
चाहता
So
हूँ।
are you saying that the calculation, because you guys deal in politics much more closely, are you saying that they are looking at the ground level and they feel that they will not be able to repeat the performance of last
Yeah,
time.
see, I think
Double anti-incumbency.
after 10 years in power, to get a third term, they need to take it for granted that there will be some places where people out of sheer boredom will say, यार बहुत हो गया इन लोगों का.
तो आप
You know-
NCP को जब लेके आओगे, then they literally hold you by the curlies.
Yeah.
So here is where I can't figure out that I cannot believe that Sharad Pawar has sent out Praful Patel without.
Not possible.
So he is
So maybe
riding
he's-
two boats.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, of
He doesn't
He's
want to
riding
lose a
two
section
boats.
of
Yeah.
votes.
So the
And he's
secular
always
vote,
split. Yeah.
Sushant, it's
Gets
the
divided.
secular vote
पर आपने
which
वो,
gets divided.
स्मिता,
So
There is nothing secular vote in India.
Yeah.
There is no vote called
so
secular
why
vote.
do you
So-called
think a
secular
so-called secular vote?
बट ये आपने वो फूला कांटे देखी है ना, उसमें अजय देवगन इज स्ट्रैडलिंग टू बाइक्स.
हाँ,
अगर वो बाइक्स ऐसे हो गई तो शरद पवार का क्या होगा?
see-
वो किसी एक बाइक में जंप कर जाएगा.
देखो, even in why did KCR go to Maharashtra? Who's there? It's the same thing that what Owaisi used to do in Maharashtra, which is the so-called secular vote. Now Owaisi is not making any
Just call
waves.
it the non-BJP vote.
So
Why are you calling it secular
You know, because
vote?
there is Shiv Sena also, right? So now the non-secular vote, there are quite a few in Maharashtra.
No, one second. There are two dry cleaners in this country. Okay? One dry cleaner, if you go into,
Corruption
you
was.
come with, your clothes come with the smell of secularism. And the
other
other
is
dry cleaner,
you
when
don't come out with
into,
clothes.
you come out with clothes, but your clothes smell of honesty.
Non-corruption.
Non-corruption.
This is like
The
the, New
third
York
one
Times.
is
This
company-
is like the New York Times writing that op-ed. Was it New York Times or Washington Post? Calling the Shiv Sena a liberal secular party.
हाँ,
But if you go into the Aam Aadmi party, your clothes get towed away. You have no clothes
No,
left.
but can I come to the
Oh,
philosophical discussion?
यार जैसे आपकी वो बियर बाइसेप्स वाली स्टोरी थी ना, इस बेचारे की टो अवे वाली
करो
स्टोरी
इसकी
है,
पिटाई करो
इसका
इसकी।
हाँ, इस
But I wanted to just to
Poor guy.
end
इसने
that.
बहुत
thing.
agitate किया यार
सेंटी
उस
वाली
story
now-
सेंटी वाली
एक तो
गाड़ी.
क्यों तुम यार ऐसे गाड़ी के ऊपर कैसे कोई सेंटी हो सकता है यार?
अरे मेरा डॉग उस गाड़ी में मर गया.
अरे
So
I felt bad. I just kept it. अब क्या करूँ उसको 30-40 हजार में
it
बेच
was
कर?
on public land.
It wasn't a public
Yeah,
land.
it is.
It was in a gated colony.
It
हाँ, so it's
gated
public
colony
land.
है, इसमें public area होता
नहीं नहीं
है.
गेट है ना.
It was.
तो तूने
It
अब
was
now
inside.
you have encroached on public property and made your own
नहीं,
gate
बाबा.
like a
It
good
was a-
Punjabi
अच्छा,
would
मैं
do.
building-
Can I
building के
please
gate के अंदर
Tehseen,
था.
because
Building
you know
के gate के अंदर था.
now after a lot of deliberation we came to this conclusion that the greater good of NCP joining the thing was 2024,
Correct.
right? Now let us say BJP wins 2024.
It
मैं
will.
ये-
With
मैं
330
rationalization की बात कर रहा हूँ.
हाँ, fair है ना?
330
अच्छा,
seats.
पुणे.
क्या
हाँ.
क्यों
Except
जरूरी
Pune.
No, I want to ask this. As far as Hindu interest को क्या करेंगे वो?
अभी
जो
तक क्या
नहीं
किया?
वही है ना. तो ये क्या है, मतलब जीत के क्या करेंगे वो?
भाई अच्छा so
ये बताओ
so
मुझे.
I'll tell you what the greater
हाँ.
good is.
तो हार के
No,
क्या
no,
करेंगे?
no,
जेल
one
जाएंगे?
second, one second, one second.
प्लेसेस ऑफ
Smita,
वर्शिप
Smita,
एक्ट हटाया,
Smita.
वक्फ एक्ट हटाया, आरटीई एक्ट हटाया,
Temples को free किया.
टेम्पल्स को फ्री
Hello,
किया,
कुछ
कश्मीरी
नहीं.
रेफ्यूजीज वापस गए.
Okay.
Okay.
I've got
Please
your
answer
point.
this,
So
yeah.
I have admitted that they've done. I would have used some other word, but
Diddly
they've done
squat.
damn all. ठीक
घंटा
है?
घंटा.
घंटा.
हाँ.
Problem is if they lose and the others come back,
Yeah.
then what they
What
will
will
do?
do?
क्या करेंगे वो?
क्या करेंगे?
बताओ.
You look
Nobody
what
is-
is happening in Karnataka
What
today.
is
तुम्ही ने
happening in
ट्वीट किया ना
हाँ,
सेक्युलरिज्म के
अब मैं
ऊपर.
बताता हूँ, एक मैं बताता हूँ.
What is happening in
अब
Karnataka?
ये 100 करोड़ दिए हैं सिद्धरामैया ने क्रिश्चियन उसको. येदियुरप्पा ने पता कितने दिए थे? 200 करोड़.
You know, he's reduced the budget. What are you saying?
ऐसा दिस इज द थिंग दैट बीजेपी इज रैशनलाइजिंग. वी मस्ट कम बैक फॉर. भाई कुछ किया नहीं आपने 10 साल में और आप 5 साल और लोगे तो करोगे कब?
नहीं करेंगे.
अगर नहीं करेंगे तो प्रफुल्ल पटेल वगैरह को लेने का क्या मतलब हुआ?
कुछ नहीं. Simply वो वहाँ पर.
For example, the educational syllabus has been given to Azim Hashim Premji
Now
University.
tell me this. After 10 years.
After 10 years, and they are the ones who've been leaking that we've been told to do this, we've been told to do this.
So, you know,
And you see the kind of drivel that professors
you
in that
want to
university
come to
put out in
government
Twitter.
by hook or by crook, right?
Yeah.
To do things. When you don't do things, why are you there?
That is why they're there. To not do things.
Who was responsible for Shinebug?
Eh?
Who was responsible for Shinebug?
Hey, look, now don't
Who
go
was
down that.
That's a
was
conspiracy theory.
Don't go down that.
That was the BJP
You have actively
responsible.
supported arsonists
The
and-
BJP was
Tehseen,
responsible.
please.
The
तो
day I was home
please
minister,
don't
उनको
do
वहाँ से
Why
भगा
were
देता.
you? Why were the
जिस
other
दिन राहुल
parties
गांधी
supporting
कांग्रेस
them?
गया
then?
था, सॉरी जेएनयू गया था. कांग्रेस भी जाता है वो थाईलैंड से जब वापस आता है. जिस दिन वो जेएनयू गया था वो टुकड़े टुकड़े गैंग के बाद वो करने के लिए, उस दिन से शाहीन बाग पूरा फार्मर ब्लॉकेड, कांग्रेस हैज बीन सपोर्टिंग एनआरकी यार.
No. Congress can do anything. You are the Home Minister. You are in power. Your duty is
Of
to
course.
act. It is your dharma to act.
Yes, I
It
agree.
is your. And the day I am Home
No one
Minister,
has criticized Amit Shah more than
I will
I
not
have.
have the spine of a molten eclair. They were blocking a road. You should have moved them.
You should
You
have.
should have allowed. You should have told them go sit at Jantar Mantar, go sit at Ram Leela Mela. I'm
Exactly.
sorry.
They actually
You
thought
cannot-
it will give them dividends.
The BJP
And the fact
actually,
that they didn't do anything actually resulted
Backfired.
in
It
backfired.
backfired, as it should have. I was very happy when they lost that election
So
because
this
it was
greater
a
good
very
is
good.
very dangerous, Paji. Very dangerous.
No, yeah, listen, here is the problem. Again, you're looking at what I've said in black and white.
See, sometimes the
वो
best.
मेरी problem में क्या करूँगा?
Sometimes
मेरी
the
problem.
best you can achieve, Anand, is preventing the worst.
what was the worst? The worst is this. With a full majority, you could do none of your promises.
The worst is Rahul Gandhi coming.
How is Rahul Gandhi the worst?
He's
not even
can,
a
you,
Prime Minister
can you tell me, no,
on
this
that
is very
note.
important now. Can you give me 3 reasons that will be disastrous if Congress comes to power?
हाँ.
Just give me three reasons in 2024.
Do you remember that right where
Sanju Verma says he's pro-Congress.
he is?
She called me an axle, yaar.
Sanju Verma is right. I salute Sanju Verma. She's a paragon of truth. So, do you remember the bill that came out, the communal violence bill,
Priyanka
where
Chaturvedi
Hindus
and
were default guilty of every riot?
Yes.
Okay.
No, it wasn't about Hindus. You're wrong.
It was about majority being
It was
different.
about the
It was
majority.
linguistic and other minority.
But
I've written
majority
on it.
defined linguistic as well.
and
so
yeah.
a Hindu who does not speak, for example,
yeah.
Hindi would be a minority in Delhi.
It
was very clearly defined
It
what
was-
a
no,
what a
I've written
minority
about
was.
this. I don't
Including
want to
linguistic.
advertise my next book, but I have written
but
about
one
this.
second.
You should
There
have brought
was
your
a
book.
reason
One
for
second,
that.
one
No,
second.
just one second.
A question was
खत्म
asked.
तो
Let
कर
me
लो,
finish
हाँ,
answering.
Up kar do, फिर मैं बोलूँ.
This was number one.
Point.
Okay. Number 2. You look at the. I think people have forgotten exactly how corrupt UPA 1 and UPA 2 were.
What corruption?
Corruption का ही
क्या
okay.
corruption?
No,
Boss,
it was a
right.
major issue.
आपको पता है इलेक्टोरल बॉन्ड्स में कितना यू में से तो साला कांग्रेस ही बन
You
गया
asked me for 3, let me give the
Okay,
3.
3.
Okay. This is the way I see it.
Sure.
Okay. Third was the way Kashmir had been allowed to metastasize. Today we finally see the return of normalcy coming.
What normalcy? People
You
have
go
been
back
target
there,
killing.
they will bring back a state legislature. It will go back to the same old
State
patterns of government.
legislature will come back.
It has
but
to come
Your
back.
larger point on Kashmir is well taken. I agree with you.
So, I am not a big fan of this government. But I will happily, last time I did not
Fair
vote for
enough.
this government happily. This time I will actually vote for this government happily not because they have become particularly better, though they have actually become somewhat better, because they did do 370, they did privatize Air India, all of which are big things. But the Congress has become progressively more dangerous and worse. They've been going into loony left territory.
I take your larger point. Yeah,
That loony
That is
left
the larger
territory
good I'm talking
is
about,
they've entered, basically Rahul Gandhi has entered Sitaram Yechury's mind space, which is never a good thing.
See, when a debate happens, it is always illuminating, and it's not about winning or losing.
Sure.
It's about learning. What you say is largely true, but this is also true, Abhijit, कि जब वो communal violence bill लाने वाला था ना, वो हटाया in 2010 or 11 because BJP and Arun Jaitley created a huge ruckus, rightly so, that even in cases where sexual assault is committed, if a minority commits it, it will not be valid. A majority. So, and it was kept in abeyance and it was removed while the BJP was in opposition. So what I'm saying is, I take your larger picture that Congress, when it comes to power, it keeps on doing these dangerous things and it will do more dangerous things because it becomes leftist.
Not so much because
But
of the
is it-
Congress, but because of the Congress leadership which drives it. Now,
Now,
he is
the new
talking about
leadership.
Rahul Gandhi entering Yechury's mind space, but also look at on the foreign policy front. Okay, what will they do with China, for example? What has their policy been on China? What will they do? Will they go for will they carry through with the momentum, for example, with the US and on the Quad?
Yes,
Or
I think they will.
absolutely
On
One
the
second,
US, yes. They are the ones who started
I
it all.
have very serious doubts on certain things about what they will do
Maybe
and how
not a
far they will
Rahul
go.
Gandhi, but a
they
Kharge
did- No,
Congress
but
will.
Smita, look, here is what they did. They did, and I think that nuclear deal was a fabulous opportunity for
Yeah.
them.
Yes.
And then you did it, and then you botched it by bringing in that liability law.
No, liability, BJP.
Yeah, you brought it in
Arey,
now.
BJP asked Sushma Swaraj how much. She wanted that
Tehseen,
liability.
Tehseen,
they
that is
were-
not
no,
true.
no, no,
They
they
didn't
didn't
even- That
want-
is not true. That is not
But
true.
you know,
There was
They
no
had-
liability
they had
for
no-
that.
Boss,
The
एक minute.
the
That is-
liability clause was brought in entirely
Correct.
because of what happened at Bhopal. It was one of
Who
those
protested?
deja vu. This thing.
Yeah, so the
Yeah,
BJP didn't even
BJP
want the
was
bloody
already
nuclear deal.
neutralized.
And
They
then
lost
they
that
didn't even
election so badly, Tehseen.
please tell me who got in, how much Sushma Swaraj and Arun Jaitley said for the liability
Nothing.
thing.
Yeah,
It was only
The
possible.
It was
BJP
they got
was
in
nothing
500
at that
crores.
point. The
They got in
BJP was-
500 crores
the
and
BJP
even
was
500
nothing
crores.
at that
No,
point.
why I'm saying your logic is specious. One second, listen. The BJP also opposed the nuclear deal. उस समय तो तुमने नहीं सुना उनकी हाँ liability में तुमने सुन लिया क्यों?
There was then
Because you didn't want to
they
do
spread
it.
fear. Because
Where
they
they
spread
go,
fear with the Bhopal.
Yaar,
thing.
to-
finish,
They
na.
spread fear.
यार, so they keep.
You were talking about the larger philosophical point.
ठीक
Please
है.
continue.
So one
But
is on.
China पे क्या कांग्रेस 100
It'll
बिलियन
be tougher than BJP is on top
अभी
to China.
चाइना पे देखो 100 बिलियन हमारा ट्रेड डेफिसिट है.
यार,
It
देखो,
will
you
not
know,
be
okay, I'll
tougher
come to
on
the
China.
trade deficit thing.
It
I'll
will
come to
not
the
be.
trade deficit.
Look
So
at
I-
who will become the NSA if it is Rahul Gandhi. They will not be tougher
They will
on
be
China.
so tough
no
on China.
chance.
They will never be
today,
tougher.
They will-
today,
they are
today, not just your 100 billion
physically
deficit. Today, from 2014 to
Who
2023,
is advising
the
your-
difference between China and India
who's
is increasing.
advising
Actually,
the
एक minute,
leadership
रुक जाओ.
on
I'll come to the economics of it in a bit. On Pakistan, for example, what are the noises which the Congress party is making? And the Congress party, forget the Congress party, the supporters, the biggest supporters in the media, for example, in the so-called intelligentsia, which is the oxymoron, the people who are called
Track 2
intelligentsia
वाले,
out here.
track 2 वाले.
ठीक है,
Track
look
to
at their
diplomacy तो मोदी
basic
कर रहे हैं,
approach
Pakistan
towards
से.
Pakistan.
Don't do that.
Look at their basic
Yes.
approach on a range of issues. It's deeply problematic. Okay,
The foreign policy
Yeah.
side.
deeply
Yeah,
problematic.
absolutely.
Deeply
Point taken.
problematic.
I
Point
strongly
Okay?
disagree.
No, you can disagree, यार. तो
No.
we are free. हमने एक
Come
दूसरे
on.
की
Of
पिटाई
course,
थोड़ी ना
but-
करनी है उसमें.
But I think Congress has
हम
been
तो फिर भी तेरे लिए वोट करेंगे अगर तू मेरी
वो तो करोगे,
कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंसी में
you're
खड़ा
a
हुआ
family.
तो.
On Pakistan, on China.
on Pakistan and China,
Tehseen.
Congress will be much
Tehseen.
tougher than this
Absolutely
government.
not.
No,
Tehseen.
no.
Not
One
this
second,
Congress.
one
Not this
China.
Congress.
One second,
This
can I make a point?
government is
Can I
having
make a point?
secret talks with Pakistan and Thailand and
can
London.
I make a point?
Yes, secret talks,
Can
strategic
I make a
diplomacy.
point? Thank you.
Yes.
You are right, Tehseen, in that the old Congress would have they used to talk soft.
It's not the
and-
old Congress
One
anymore.
second, exactly. They used to talk soft and act hard. Okay. Unfortunately, that is no longer the Congress we see anymore. Okay. The Rahul Congress is not the old.
It's gone
Congress.
loony woke.
Really,
It has gone
truly.
to the
Leftist,
point
commie.
where you cannot be promoted unless you think a certain way. You cannot climb the ladder unless you behave a certain way. And you cannot behave that way and talk that way unless you fundamentally deeply believe in those particular
Well,
paradigms.
if you have to fall back on Kanhaiya Kumar as your new great hope for the future.
No, they've gone even beyond JNU. They've gone to Ashoka.
and mind you, they have the Congress.
That
Yeah,
was a good one.
yeah,
Very good.
yeah. They
We
have
appointed him something yesterday, no?
they have
NSUI president.
they have gone to a point of no return at this point, Tehseen. Okay, it is at a very, very dangerous level. They have
no, I-
fantastic leaders.
Look, I have learned
They
to do
have
this.
Congress has fantastic
things you
leaders.
said.
One
Have
second,
sensible people who
Anand.
can
Congress
help them.
has fantastic leaders who are complete security hawks.
जैसे आज मनीष तिवारी ने कहा है कुछ.
Who understand
ये old Congress
security.
Manish Tiwari is old Congress.
Manish
Who
Tiwari is a very
understand
sensible guy.
friends will
one
never
second,
say
one-
this.
One second. Who understand security much better than this entire government does. All of them have been completely sidelined by Rahul. He
Why?
did. You know, I know, and everybody who even remotely knows the Congress knows that particular strain of thought is detested by Rahul. It has not just been
Yeah, I
sidelined
agree.
by him; it has been
It's
punished
true,
by Rahul.
100%.
Okay, but
It
let
has
me,
been
let me give you
actively
an answer.
punished by
Okay, but let
Rahul.
me answer that.
This
no,
conversation
one second,
is going to go down in history
Well, let me give you.
as the most logical debate on why Modi should come back in
Let me
2024. I'm just
give. Let
telling
me,
you
okay,
this.
okay, let me give you an answer to that.
This- remember this podcast.
No,
Yeah.
but I'll tell you. If Congress were to
If you
return
can
to
convince
power,
me, you can convince anyone.
if Congress were to come back to
I told
power
my
in
wife that she slapped
2024,
me.
if Congress is to get elected in 2024, the Congress that you're speaking about, the old Congress will have to come back. It won't be this. So
We'll have to come back. कहाँ से यार?
has joined Samajwadi Party.
मुझे बोलने तो दो आप हर
We'll have
everything
to
you're jumping in.
Arey, we'll have
sorry.
to come back. का
I
क्या
don't
मतलब?
think
It will
the
be-
symbol you are talking about is much of a loss to the Congress party. But
No, I think it's a massive loss to the Congress party.
he's not old Congress. He's part of the loony Congress.
No,
Yeah, I can tell you that.
He's as nationalist as you'd get.
कौन?
Kapil Sibal.
Yeah, are you trying to tell me the others are not? It's not a question of being a
Kapil
nationalist.
Sibal- Kapil
It's a
Sibal
question
is
of being able to
biologist.
protect national interest.
Kapil
not
Sibal
necessarily
would
to be a
always
nationalist.
protect national
Where is
interest.
Milind Deora now in your Congress?
He's in Mumbai. He'll contest. He'll contest South Mumbai.
Where is his voice?
He'll
Why
come-
is it not being amplified? There are hundreds.
he
He's
is
right. There are hundreds of people like
But
that.
those
yeah.
in
They are in
government will be
oblivion.
there'll be people like Milind Deora, etc. who will be in power. Sachin Pilot, Milind Deora. So one.
Sachin Pilot.
यार,
Milind Deora. मैं बोल रहा हूँ.
रहने दो यार, वो
मैं
उसको
बता
बेचारे
रहा
को
हूँ, मनीष
state में नहीं
तिवारी
मिल
ये
रहा,
लोग.
वो क्या
और-
center में
and
आएगा?
I'm telling you, I agree with what you're saying. And the Congress also has to think about this loony left that it is on.
They've made sense, yeah. These two have made sense. On foreign policy,
On foreign policy,
two-thirds-
if Congress comes back to power, they will be so tough on China and Pakistan, much more tougher in his
तो
Let's
मतलब
do
कि
it.
अब जैसे पार्लियामेंट के
क्योंकि-
3 सेशन होते हैं वैसे हमारे भी 3
तीन
सेशन
session
होंगे
होने चाहिए ना. So we should
Fall
no
session.
because
Can
by
we do it
then
outdoors also?
because we
location?
can audio
we go-
doesn't come out all that great.
Where?
But we should,
Maldives.
हाँ, let's do our next session in the Seychelles.
Just a thought, yeah.
no, we should
Honestly.
because if the elections
Tessie,
happen in
can you talk to
Madhya
Robert,
Pradesh and
What?
Chhattisgarh, we'll have the results by then. 2 more states. So let's do it after that.
See, I'll tell you what my worry is. If we do it in India while the elections are happening,
It'll taint the election.
it will taint the election.
Very-
Whereas if we do it out of
But-
कोई
Seychelles,
अगर
बहुत
कोई
अच्छा
sponsor
point है.
आता है,
if
please
we
सुन
do it in
लीजिए.
बहुत अच्छा
Seychelles, we
point
will there will be a
100%.
emotional
I
distance.
don't have a sponsor. Will you please speak to the
Maldives
camera?
चले
asking-
जाते हैं.
Hello, viewers. Anybody
Can
who
we-
wants to sponsor, please
Can
feel
I
free to
request
sponsor.
the American ambassador to please
Yeah, and especially Mr. Eric Garcetti, if you can sponsor
please
this.
involve yourself? Please intervene.
हाँ, that's your
Please
camera.
intervene.
Yeah, subnational diplomacy.
We
Please
can go to
intervene.
Hawaii. It's a beautiful
We can
place.
go to Hawaii. We
Yeah.
would love
Yeah.
to,
वो है
popularize
ना,
Hawaiian
east,
beaches.
west,
especially
center.
Abhijit on the beach.
Especially me on the beach.
Abhi on the
Eating,
beach.
eating pizza with pineapple.
Eating pizza with pineapple, dressed as a mermaid with, flippers on.
We want the sponsorship. We don't not want the sponsorship.
Mermaids have
तू जलता है मेरे
indeterminate.
से.
I don't
Mermaids
mind
are, you
Maldives
don't know whether
also,
they are
यार.
male or
हाँ,
female.
बहुत अच्छी
ना,
जगह
mermaids.
बड़ी मिडिल क्लास वाली बात करनी
हम तो यही मिडिल क्लास
कौन
ही
सी
है
क्या
यार.
कहाँ जाना
Maldives
Maldives.
is middle
Maldives.
class.
अबे
How elitist
all
Maldives
the- all the hot Indian
Sarojini
actresses
Nagar
go
चले
out
जाओ.
there यार.
Abhijit, Maldives is middle class. How elite is Smita and Anand? Just
No,
look at
because
this.
ये
Just
बेचारा
look at them.
हवाई की
हम तो
सपने
है
देख
यार.
रहा है.
हवाई के सपने ले
Look
रहा
at
है.
them.
वो मैंने दिए थे
He
यार.
gave Hawaii ke sapne. I was Seychelles because Maldives all the altu faltu go there. Seychelles altu faltu don't go to.
No, but
Seychelles.
the American ambassador, if you're watching this, and
Mauritius.
you might be,
Yes.
you should have him as a guest.
Have him
I
as
love
the
Mauritius.
guest. So then,
Mauritius is nice.
So
But
Hawaii.
still a bit
Hawaii.
down.
Okay, decided Hawaii.
Hawaii is
All
done.
right, next podcast in Hawaii. Right, thank you so much,
but
guys.
if you guys
Thank you
let
very
it
much.
be, I can try Dubai. Dubai
भाई ये
is
हवाई
sponsoring everybody.
वो वाला हवाई
All we
ये
have to
इधर
make
उधर
And you get a-
नजफगढ़ के पास वाला
you'll get a
नागलोई
golden-
में
you'll get a golden visa also.
नागलोई वाला हवाई
You'll get a golden visa also. If you are in the field of art, entertainment, influence, or
Agriculture?
media. Agriculture को नहीं
अभी
मिलेगा.
a very famous daughter
Actors,
of
the actor's daughters become an agriculturalist.
agriculturist.
Huh. So we
Hello,
should-
I'm sure 90% of you here own farms, and all of you have claimed that you are agriculturalists.
हमारा
This is
तो हमारा
कोई
फार्म
नहीं।
ना वो गमले में है That is our farm
नहीं तो चिदम्बरम का भी फार्म गमले में था कैबेज उगा रहे थे बाद में
right
अच्छा,
Please
okay,
don't
guys.
belittle.
Okay,
Thank
let's
you
go
so
for
much.
I think
धन्यवाद.
Okay. हवाई में मिलते हैं अब
हवाई में मिलेंगे.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
viewers.
Thank
Thank you. So that was our conversation today. I'm sure there's a lot you have to unpack. The wit, the humor, the information, everything. And I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. Do like or subscribe on whichever channel you have seen this or heard this. Namaste. Jai Hind.